Chapter 197. Yi-Jioge looked coldly at the guard who fell in a straight line and finally smashed his head into the mud, creating a flower of blood. He's dead. Bai Songling glanced at him and knew that the guard couldn't be saved. That's good. We don't have to dirty our hands. Yi-Jioge withdrew her gaze indifferently and looked at the gate of the city wall. Soon the gate opened. Su Junqing led a group of guards and walked out, carrying a military green stretcher. Wan Ziang was lying on the stretcher. From a distance, his face was as pale as a dead man, and his breathing was very low. What did you do to him? Bai Songling roared in shock and anger. Brother Bai, don't be nervous. Brother Wan is fine. He was seriously injured before and has not recovered. He wanted to get out of bed and jump. I was afraid that his injury would worsen, so I fed him some muscle-softening powder. Su Junqing said lightly. Yi-Jioge pulled the furious Bai Songling and whispered, I have the antidote for the muscle-softening powder in my bag. Give it to him after the exchange. She left all the antidotes behind before she left. I see. Miss, please be careful. Bai Songling nodded vigorously. Miss, if you've discussed it, then come over. Although Su Junqing was smiling, he was actually very nervous. He was also worried that Bai Songling would suddenly snatch him. It would be a joke if he suffered a double loss. Yi-Jioge calmly walked toward Su Junqing. The guards carrying Wan Ziang avoided her and walked toward Bai Songling and the others. They brushed past each other. Wan Ziang was successfully received by Bai Songling and the others. Yi-Jioge also came to Su Junqing's side. Miss Yi is really righteous. I admire you. Su Junqing looked at Yi-Jioge and smiled, but his eyes began to turn pale red. A hazy power enveloped Yi-Jioge's body. Yi-Jioge felt a little dizzy and her body couldn't help but shake. She knew that Su Junqing was using the mind-bewitching spell on her, so she didn't resist and let him do it. After Su Junqing was sure that Yi-Jioge was under the mind-bewitching spell, he began to ask, Where is Lu Yunfei? She was killed by our joint attack. Yi-Jioge replied. Su Junqing's pupils constricted. Although he had a bad premonition when he heard that Yi-Jioge and the others had left the city to chase after the injured Lu Yunfei. But when he found out that she was really dead, he was still very surprised. After all, Lu Yunfei's strength was extraordinary. She was also very cautious and cunning. No one would have thought that she would die so easily. Forget it, death is death. In any case, as long as he could complete the task given by the old ancestor would not fuss about this. Su Junqing made up his mind and asked, What about her corpse and storage bag? This was the main point. The corpse is buried in a red clay valley 300 miles away from the city. The storage bag is with Yi-Yu. Yi-Jioge said honestly. The 150 kilometers of Red Clay Valley was the base that they had discussed before. It seemed that Yi-Jioge had not lied. Su Junqing then said to Yi-Jioge, Eldest miss, for safety's sake, please hand over all your weapons to me for safekeeping. I don't have any weapons. I gave them to Bai Songling and the others before I came, Yi-Jioge replied in a daze. Su Junqing glanced at Yi-Jioge and saw that she did not have any decorations on her body. Her dress was also quite tight and did not look like it could be used to store things. He believed her. Then please. Su Junqing led the way in front. Yi-Jioge, to think that you would have such a day. The crown prince stood on the stairs nearby and sneered. Yi-Jioge's eyes were a bit dull as if she did not hear the crown prince's words. The crown prince frowned and was about to explode, but he was stopped by Su Junqing. Your Highness, we still have many things to do. Why don't we take Yi-Jioge to the prison first and lock her up with the spirit forbidden hoop? Very well, the spirit forbidden hoop suits her the best. The crown prince nodded in satisfaction. Alchemy City's death prison was equipped with a spirit forbidden hoop. This chain was made from spirit-absorbing stone. After wearing it, it would seal the spiritual force of a martial artist. Because wearing it for a long time would damage the meridians of the body, it was not used when they locked Yi-Jioge up. In the dark and damp prison, the iron bars of the death prison shone coldly under the dim candlelight. After passing through a corridor filled with a musty smell, they walked to the deepest part of the prison, the only death prison of Alchemy City. Dongfang Yao was not a bloodthirsty person. Alchemy City had been established for a long time, but the death prison had only locked up a few bandits who had committed murder. In the last 5 years, no one had been living here. The corners were covered with moss, and rats and cockroaches were running all over the floor. Not to mention a bed, there was not even a pile of hay. The spirit forbidden hoop was on the gray wall, and the mottled iron chain bound 2 gray bracelets. "Eldest miss, please." Su Junqing walked to the wall and smiled while holding the 2 gray bracelets. His eyes flashed red. On the surface, he looked very relaxed, but his whole body was very tense, afraid that Yi Jiuge would suddenly explode and escape. Behind Yi Jiuge, a group of intermediate spiritualist guards surrounded her in a circle. Yi Jiuge acted as if she did not know that the spirit forbidden hoop would harm her. She silently walked forward, and her azure sleeves slid down, revealing her snow-white arms. After Su Junqing put the gray spirit forbidden hoop on Yi Jiuge's hand, he finally felt relieved and couldn't help but laugh. "Yi Jiuge, you finally fell into my hands." Half of the task was completed, and his heart was indescribably comfortable. Next, he just had to wait for Xiong Yunhu to transport the Oriental medicine out. As for Wan Ziang and the others, he was not in a hurry to capture them. Previously, when he helped the bloodthirsty sect collect girls and spiritualists, he could only be sneaky and restrained. Now that Wan Ziang, Bai Songling, and the others were his scapegoats, he just had to be bold in the future. Yi Jiuge had been very sluggish and did not respond to Su Junqing's laughter. After Su Junqing laughed enough, he proudly left with the guards. The death cell immediately fell into darkness, and one could not see their fingers in front of them. A dirty and fat big rat came out of the corner and curiously circled around Yi Jiuge. It bared its big teeth and wanted to take a bite of this fragrant prey. The sound of chains suddenly rang out, scaring the big dirty rat into fleeing. Yi Jiuge, who was a little sluggish, slowly opened her eyes. Her eyes were clear, and she whispered, "Didn't you say you have a way to help me settle it? Why aren't you coming out?" Little Jiuge is really impatient. After not seeing this sovereign for so long, you want to do it as soon as you come out? A pleasant light laughter sounded in the dark death cell, like the night wind blowing through the valley. "Stop being so long-winded. This bracelet is super uncomfortable to wear. Hurry up and untie it for me." Yi Jiuge forcefully pulled it. The chains rattled, and the spirit forbidden hoop flashed with a gray light. It pierced into Yi Jiuge's wrist and sealed all the spiritual power in her body. TSK, little Jiuge's temper is really getting worse. It seems that when this sovereign is not here, your days are not good. Zi Shang laughed softly. A tall and straight figure gradually appeared in front of Yi Jiuge. Chapter 198. The originally pitch-black prison cell lit up with starlight, illuminating his entire body. His long purple hair became jet black and soft, tied with a golden crown, and the rest of his hair was scattered behind his head like a crow's feather. His purple vertical pupils became unfathomably deep, occasionally flashing with light that was a proud and peerless sharpness. Wearing a dark purple robe with dark patterns, he stood tall like a jade, outstanding like an immortal. Most importantly, that long black snake tail turned into a pair of long legs. "You really turned into a human?" Yi Jiuge suddenly opened her eyes wide. Although she had some guesses when Zi Shang mentioned the form transformation bead. But when she saw this demon snake really turn into a human, she still felt very shocked. "Don't you want this sovereign to stay by your side day and night?" Zi Shang's coquettish face had a touch of helplessness and pampering, looking like he was thinking for Yi Jiuge. "It's not too convenient to be in the original body, it's better to be in the human body. Who wants you to stay by my side day and night?" Yi Jiuge was crazy to want this guy to accompany her day and night. Zi Shang raised his eyebrows, turned and walked towards the prison door. "Then this sovereign is leaving. Come back." Yi Jiuge hurriedly stretched out her hand. She was now wearing the spirit forbidden hoop. She couldn't use all her energy. If Zi Shang didn't save her, she would become the meat on the Crown Prince and Su Junqing's chopping board. "What are you coming back for?" Zi Shang stood at the door and slightly turned his head, his handsome face full of ridicule, his black eyes full of interest, obviously teasing Yijioga. "Come back and stay with me, accompany me day and night." Yijioga bit the bullet and finished saying this. Goosebumps kept appearing on her body. She was about to be disgusted to death by herself. "Since you are so sincere, then this sovereign will be merciful and come back." Zishang returned to Yijioga's side, bent over in front of her, smiled and said, "To show my sincerity, kiss one first." Yijioga's face twitched. Why did she feel that Zishang in human form was even more shameless? "Why aren't you saying anything?" Zishang raised his eyebrows, suddenly realizing, this sovereign knows, you think one kiss is too little, right? If I really can't do anything, then I'll kiss too. Damn you. Yijioga really wanted to vomit blood. To prevent Zishang from acting shamelessly again, Yijioga braced himself and kissed Zishang's face. Zishang turned his head around and kissed Yijioga. Her soft lips and faint fragrance turned the entire dark cell pink. As Zishang kissed Yijioga, he did not forget to grab the 2 rings on Yijioga's hands. His palms spat out a pale purple flame, and the ring fell to the ground with a thud. The familiar spirit energy returned to Yijioga. She finally woke up from Zishang's intoxication and pushed him away. "There's still one more kiss. I still owe you." Zishang placed her slender fingers on her red lips and winked at Yijioga. "You want me to owe you the moment I come out? I might as well not have come out." Yijioga cursed inwardly as he rubbed his somewhat numb wrist. This spirit-forbidden hoop was really powerful. She had only worn it for a while and her wrist was already hurting. Although Zishang had taken human form, some of his habits hadn't changed. He hugged Yijioga and rested his chin on her forehead. After taking a sniff, he asked with some disgust, "How long has it been since you washed your hair?" "I've been working hard outside every day. Where would I have the time to wash my hair?" Yijioga secretly cursed Zishang for being unreasonable in her heart, but she still had a bright smile on her face as she said, "When I rescue Master Dongfang and Li Zijuan, I'll immediately go wash my hair and make myself smell good, okay?" "That's more like it." Zishang was quite satisfied with Yijioga's attitude. "You see, I'm just one person and I don't have any weapons on me. If I walk out like this, I'm afraid I'll be caught immediately. I wonder if the king has any tricks?" Yijioga said with a flattering smile. She came in with all her might and could only count on Zishang. "Simple." Zishang stretched out his hand and drew a concealment talisman on Yijioga's forehead and said, "Just walk out like this. Those guards won't be able to see you. You have the time it takes for an incense to burn." The time it takes for an incense to burn is enough. Yijioga's eyes lit up as she realized that Zishang had woken up just in time. However, this sovereign has to remind you that this sovereign's demonic power has been used to devour the transformation fruit. Right now, the amount of demonic power that this sovereign can use every day is limited. Just now, when I helped you remove the spirit-forbidden hoop and drew this concealment talisman, I have consumed a lot of it. Now, I only have a third of it left." Zishang said. "What do you mean?" Yijioga suddenly felt that something was wrong. "It means that when we fight, you go first. If you can't beat this sovereign, then I'll take you and escape." Zishang's smile was very charming, like a blooming epiphyllum in the night, with a light fragrance. It was simply beautiful. But Yijioga only wanted to beat him up. "Or, if you want to escape now, that's fine." Zishang expressed that he was a very democratic person. "Let's fight first." Yijioga spent a lot of effort to sneak in. It was not her style to escape without even seeing the person. But Zishang did not care. Yijioga bent down, lifted the hem of her skirt, and muttered, "Fortunately, I already knew that you are unreliable." A thin silver rope was tied around Yijioga's calf. It was the shrunken thunder snake illusionary whip. After she surrendered, she showed weakness everywhere, and even willingly let Su Junqing confuse her, all in order to hide this weapon. Yijioga untied the thunder snake illusionary whip and wrapped it around her waist again. Then she asked Zishang, "Can I attack while in the concealment state?" "Yes, but the moment you attack, the concealment state will automatically be removed." Zishang said. "That's good." Yi Jioga slightly heaved a sigh of relief. With this opportunity to sneak attack, her chances of winning were higher. You go in front. This sovereign will protect you from behind. After Zi Shang finished speaking, he also concealed his figure. Yi Jioga quietly left the death prison. Along the way, the prison guards turned a blind eye to her. The moment she came out of the death prison, she discovered that there were many hidden guards lying in ambush. There were traps everywhere and poison was everywhere. Needless to say, they were to prevent Bai Songling and the others from breaking into the prison to rescue her. Yi Jioga did not alarm the hidden guards. Instead, she tiptoed towards the medicine refinement pavilion. The guards along the way were very strict. When she arrived near the medicine refinement pavilion, there was a guard every 10 steps. If not for Zi Shang's concealment talisman, it would have been extremely difficult for her to get close to this place. Yi Jioga avoided the guards and quietly entered Dongfang Yao's room. The room was filled with the strong smell of medicine. Dongfang Yao was lying on the bed. His old face was dark, and his breathing was weak. Su Junqing and Xiong Yunhu stood by Dongfang Yao's bed and talked. Yi Jioga hid in the dark and couldn't help but frown. The concealment talisman only lasted for the time it takes for a joss stick to burn. If the two of them kept talking, it would be troublesome. Chapter 199. Although Yi Jioga had never fought with Xiong Yunhu, she knew from Lu Yunfei's words that he was a tough one. She had no confidence in a one-on-one fight, and with Su Junqing added, she would definitely lose. She had to think of a way to lure Su Junqing away. At this moment, Zi Shang's fingers suddenly landed on Yi Jioga's back. She didn't know what he was drawing, but it was ticklish. Yi Jioga's face darkened. At this time, he was still trying to take advantage of her. Could he please look at the location? Zi Shang seemed to have guessed Yi Jioga's thoughts, and knocked her head before starting to draw again. After Yi Jioga calmed down, she realized that Zi Shang was drawing the word, wait. Alright, since Zi Shang wants to wait, then let's wait. Hopefully they can finish their conversation quickly. Su Junqing didn't know that Yi Jioga was secretly peeping. He was reporting the news of Yi Jioga to Xiong Yunhu. Yi Jioga has already put on the spirit forbidden hoop and is locked in the death prison. I have set up many traps in the surroundings. If Bai Songling and the rest rush over to save them, I guarantee that they won't be able to escape. I don't care what happens to Bai Songling and Wan Ziang, but those two blood-clothed Miao people and Yi Jioga must be left to me. Xiong Yunhu said coldly. Ever since Elder Ancestor devoured the blood-clothed Miao people's tribe leader, he realized that he was tricked by that tribe leader, and many of his bloodline secrets were leaked. Elder Ancestor had sent a few people to search for the remaining members of the blood-clothed Miao people, but there were no results. If he could bring these two people back to Elder Ancestor, it would be a great merit. But Lu Yunfei and Old Jiang are both dead. Can you bring so many people alone? Su Junqing frowned and said disapprovingly, don't forget, our mission is to bring Dongfang Yao back to Elder Ancestor as a primer. He spent a lot of effort to rope in Zhang Peng, and only then did he succeed in poisoning Dongfang Yao. This poison was made by Elder Ancestor using his own blood essence and Snow Spider King poison. There was only one portion in this world, there wouldn't be any more. You don't need to worry about this, just mind your own business. Xiong Yunhu grabbed Su Junqing's shirt and lifted him up fiercely. He even dared to snatch Lu Yunfei's things, let alone Su Junqing, an outer disciple. If not for the fact that this person was still useful, just based on what he had said just now, he would have died without a doubt. Senior brother, please calm down. Junior brother was wrong. Su Junqing felt Xiong Yunhu's ferocious gaze and shivered in fear. Previously, he thought that Lu Yunfei was the one in charge of the overall situation. It was only later that he found out that the real main force was the Xiong Yunhu. Xiong Yunhu was the eldest disciple of Forefather Bloodthirsty. He had received all the teachings of the Forefather. He was a cruel and ruthless person, and he would often kill people and bleed them to cultivate. He was a terrifying person in Bloodthirsty sect. Xiong Yunhu finally let go of Su Junqing. Su Junqing didn't even dare to tidy up his clothes. He immediately smiled apologetically and said, Senior brother, Junior brother was also worried that something would go wrong. That's why he said the wrong thing. I hope senior brother can be magnanimous and not lower himself to junior brother's level. Alright, less nonsense. I'll give you an hour to find Lu Yunfei's body. Otherwise, don't blame me for falling out. Xiong Yunhu grinned. His snow-white teeth were even scarier than a shark's. Lu Yunfei was one of the top 10 experts in bloodthirsty sect. Her body was also an excellent material for blood refinement. If he could absorb Lu Yunfei's body, his cultivation would definitely increase by another level. Unfortunately, he still had to look after Dongfang Yao, an important target. Otherwise, he would go himself. Yes, junior brother will go now. Su Junqing nodded repeatedly. He understood Xiong Yunhu's meaning very well. If he couldn't bring Lu Yunfei's body back to Xiong Yunhu, he would kill himself. Scram. Xiong Yunhu impatiently waved his hand and sat cross-legged on the floor. He took out a blood bottle from his storage bag and drank a few mouthfuls. Then he greedily looked at the unconscious Dongfang Yao. If Dongfang Yao wasn't poisoned and only the forefather had the antidote, he really wanted to secretly drink a few mouthfuls. After all, with Dongfang Yao's cultivation, every mouthful of blood was essence. Su Junqing obediently left the room. He looked back at Xiong Yunhu's back with eyes full of hatred. If it weren't for the fact that he was too weak right now, he would definitely kill Xiong Yunhu. Once he gets the cultivation technique bestowed by the forefather, he will definitely trample on these people. Yi Jioga had been quietly lying by the side. After Su Junqing left, she took out the lightning snake illusionary whip from her waist and dripped blood onto the snake's mouth. She silently said in her heart, "Demonic power, unseal." After sucking the blood, the lightning snake illusionary whip slowly opened its blood-red eyes. Compared to the previous berserk attacks, the silent lightning snake illusionary whip was much more dangerous. It was silent and undetectable, like a poisonous snake hiding in the grass, ready to deal a fatal blow at any time. Yi Jioga didn't hastily attack. She only had one chance. She had to find the right time and hit the target. Although Xiong Yunhu was cultivating, he still paid a bit of attention to the situation outside, ready to deal with any sudden incidents. Just as he was about to end his cultivation, he relaxed a little. At this moment, his heart suddenly twitched, startling him so much that he immediately opened his eyes. Every time he felt this kind of palpitation, he would encounter danger. The stronger the palpitation, the heavier the danger. In his early years, when he hadn't finished cultivating the blood-sea technique, he often had this feeling. But ever since he killed the obstacle in front of him and became the eldest disciple of the bloodthirsty ancestor, he didn't have palpitation anymore. Xiong Yunhu didn't dare to underestimate his intuition for danger, so he immediately raised his guard. Suddenly, a wave of extremely terrifying spirit energy exploded from behind him, accompanied by a faint demonic aura. It covered the sky and drowned him. Xiong Yunhu immediately activated the red protective light and dashed to the side. But the attack was too fast and too close. He didn't have a chance to dodge. The red protective light just rose up and was smashed. Xiong Yunhu felt like a sharp blade had stabbed into his back. The huge force shook his internal organs, causing his blood energy to surge. His body flew up involuntarily, creating a big hole in the wall. After Yi Jioga attacked, the hidden aura was automatically removed. Although that attack had used up most of her spirit energy, she still didn't dare to relax. The lightning snake illusionary whip rose again, turning into a purple lightning snake that lashed at Xiong Yunhu. Boom! This time, it hit a thick cloud of blood mist. Xiong Yunhu stood up from the wall in a sorry state. His shirt was destroyed by the attack just now, revealing his body covered in blood. Especially his back, there was a huge scorched black scar. It was so deep that bones could be seen, and it was extremely hideous. It covered more than half of his back, and even his internal organs could be vaguely seen. Yi Jioga, why is it you? Aren't you wearing the spirit forbidden hoop? Xiong Yunhu never thought that Yi Jioga would sneak attack him from behind. Yi Jioga saw that Xiong Yunhu had already activated his defense, so it was impossible for him to sneak attack again. She said to provoke him, "You can't even guess why I'm here. You deserve to be killed." Chapter 200. It's Su Junqing, right? That bastard dared to trick me. Xiong Yunhu's face twisted. Now that Dong Fang Yao had fallen and Lu Yunfei was dead, Su Junqing only needed to kill him to take all the credit. If he knew this would happen, he would have killed that bastard first. Yi Jioge raised her eyebrows. She didn't expect Xiong Yunhu to think of Su Junqing, but it was better if they fought each other. Thus, she laughed mockingly and continued acting, "Since you already know the truth, don't think of going back alive. You think you can kill me with this?" Xiong Yunhu roared fiercely. "I've already destroyed your organs. You're just an arrow at the end of its flight. Just obediently accept your death and I'll leave your corpse intact." Yi Jioge's attitude was arrogant, but she was actually terrified. The lightning snake illusionary whip's attack just now was no joke. If it was someone else, they would have been blasted into pieces. She didn't expect Xiong Yunhu to still be able to talk to her so energetically. "I want to see who dies first." Xiong Yunhu sneered and took out a blood pearl from his storage bag and swallowed it. Yi Jioge felt something was wrong and couldn't help but take a few steps back. After Xiong Yunhu ate the blood pearl, a strange red light spread out from his body. The wounds on his body and the hideous wound on his back immediately recovered. His aura exploded and blood mist shrouded his body. The smell of blood was so thick that it made people want to vomit. He was like a monster that crawled out of a pool of blood. "You're not his match. Let's go." Zi Shang grabbed Yi Jioge's hand and prepared to escape. Yi Jioge looked at Xiong Yunhu, who was covered in blood, and had an idea. She raised her lightning snake illusionary whip and attacked Xiong Yunhu again. The purple lightning snake landed on Xiong Yunhu's head. He revealed a terrifying smile and his bloody hands pinched the purple lightning snake like he was pinching a bug. He pulled hard and the purple lightning dissipated. Yi Jioge's face instantly paled. This Xiong Yunhu was too terrifying. After using the blood pearl, he had already reached the realm of a spirit master. "Go die." After Xiong Yunhu crushed Yi Jioge's purple lightning snake, he grinned fiendishly and stretched out his hand. The bloody mist condensed into two bloody hands that covered her head. Yi Jioge wanted to escape, but he discovered that Xiong Yunhu's blood mist had locked onto him, and he was unable to move. At the critical moment, Zi Shang grabbed Yi Jioge's waist and quickly retreated. They broke through the wall and left the room. Xiong Yunhu was stunned. He never expected that someone would rescue Yi Jioge right under his nose. He was already on the verge of exploding, and now he was even more enraged. With a roar he gave chase. Yi Jioge jumped onto the highest floor of the alchemy pavilion and shouted with all his might, "The evil cultivator Xiong Yunhu is plotting to kill Master Dongfang. Quickly protect him." It was midnight, and the whole city was under martial law. Everything was quiet. Yi Jioge's voice exploded like a clap of thunder, resounding through the clouds. Not only was the entire alchemy pavilion alarmed, even the commoners in the city couldn't help but come out to see what was going on. After Yi Shanshan was awakened by Yi Jioge's voice, she immediately put on her clothes and rushed to Yi Yuxuan's side. She asked in bewilderment, "Father, didn't you say that big sister was locked in the dungeon with the spirit forbidden hoop? How did she escape?" "Who knows how she escaped? Go find the crown prince, I'll go take a look." Yi Yuxuan's expression was extremely ugly. He had a premonition that something bad must have happened. "Father, you must be careful," Yi Shanshan worriedly warned. "Go quickly." After Yi Yuxuan finished speaking, he swung his sleeves and left. Yi Shanshan immediately went to the Rising Heaven Pavilion to find the crown prince. Just as she entered the courtyard, she heard his angry voice. "Where did Su Junqing go?" "Your Highness, this subordinate brought people to search the entire alchemy pavilion, but we couldn't find young Master Su. The guards also said that they didn't see him leave." The guard leader reported in fear and trepidation. Continue searching for him for me." The crown prince's face was ashen. He wanted nothing more than to tear Su Junqing's corpse into 1,000 pieces. Yi Shanshan leaned against the door and advised from afar, "Your Highness, please calm down. Don't get angry and harm your body." "Speak, did you release Yi Jioge?" The crown prince's nostrils spewed hot air as he uncontrollably grabbed Yi Shanshan and roared. Your Highness, our Yi mansion has already severed all ties with Yi Jioga. How could we release her? My father has already gone to the alchemy pavilion to capture her. Before he left, he specifically told me to find your Highness for help. Yi Xianxia was so scared that her entire body was trembling as she quickly explained. The crown prince's chest violently heaved a few times. Finally, he suppressed his anger and roared, "Someone, go to the alchemy pavilion." Outside the alchemy pavilion, Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei bumped into each other. Grandmaster Yi, this Yi Jioga couldn't have been released by you, right? Gong Honglei said half jokingly and half seriously. He didn't know that Yi Yuxuan and Yi Jioga's relationship was bad, so he used a normal father-daughter relationship to measure it. He felt that Yi Yuxuan couldn't just watch his own daughter go to jail. If I released her, then I'll be struck by lightning and die a horrible death, Yi Jioga replied in a bad mood. Gong Honglei was shocked. He didn't expect Yi Yuxuan to swear such a deadly oath. He immediately felt a bit awkward and quickly changed the topic. Forget it, we'll know who released her once we catch her. That's right. Yi Yuxuan also wanted to know who else in the alchemy pavilion would dare to help Yi Jioga. The two of them walked side by side towards the alchemy pavilion. Just as they arrived at the door, they heard the panicked shouts of the guards inside. Heavens, what is that? Idiot, can't you tell? Of course it's an evil cultivator. But why would this evil cultivator jump out of Grandmaster Dongfang's room and fight with Yi Jioga? Gong Honglei frowned, kicked the door open and rushed in. In the open space in front of the alchemy pavilion, he saw a tall blood man with evil aura chasing after Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga's body seemed to be pulled by someone, swaying left and right in a mess, but he was always able to escape the blood man's pursuit. What are you looking at? Are your dog eyes blind? Can't you tell who the evil cultivator is? Yi Jioga dodged while pointing at the guards and scolding. Grandmaster Dongfang really raised you for nothing. It's not enough that you let a wolf into the house, you see the real culprit and you don't dare to catch him. When Grandmaster wakes up one day, he'll definitely twist all your heads off and kick them around like balls. The guards were all dumbfounded. Yi Jioga was the target that the Crown Prince and Zhang Ping had personally ordered to capture. If they helped her, wouldn't that be a rebellion? But that blood man was really too strange. What are you still standing there for? Capture that blood man and Yi Jioga for me. Gong Honglei shouted. Only then did the guards come back to their senses. They raised their weapons and rushed forward. However, they all rushed towards Yi Jioga. That blood man was too scary. He could shatter a large rock with one palm. Going against him was simply courting death. Yi Jioga was so angry that he almost vomited blood. These guards were simply stirring shit. No, the real shit stirrer was Gong Honglei. Chapter 201. Yi Jioga once again dodged Xiong Yunhu and the guards' attacks. He turned his head and cursed at Gong Honglei. Gong Hong, you blind dog. How dare you say you're from the Spiritualist Alliance? I think you're more like someone from the bloodthirsty sect. If your younger sister knew about this, she would definitely regret having a blind older brother. Shut up, all of you, step down. Gong Honglei roared, ordering the guards who were causing trouble to step down. Although he was certain that Yi Jioga was his sister's murderer, the scene in front of him made the bloody man look like a heretic cultivator. Yi Jioga knew that even if he escaped, he could catch him again. However, he had to take down this bloody man immediately. Gong Honglei instantly made his decision. He pulled out the 6-yang sword on his back and infused spirit energy into it. Golden spirit energy pierced through the sword, giving off a piercing light that seemed to cut through the air and pierce towards the bloody man. Xiong Yunhu didn't care about Gong Honglei's sword gleam and sent out a blood mist to block it. He didn't expect the golden sword gleam to be so tyrannical. Not only did it pierce through the blood mist, it pierced through his palm and stabbed into his chest. Ao ao ao. Xiong Yunhu let out a crazy roar after being heavily injured. The blood mist on his body condensed into a head-sized ball that exploded on Gong Honglei's body and sent him flying. Yi Jioga hit on the side like a wild beast. While Xiong Yunhu was dealing with Gong Honglei, a lightning snake illusionary whip whipped towards the sword wound on his chest. She had already sealed the demon artifact, so the lightning snake illusionary whip was only an ordinary totem. Although it wasn't as strong as the demon artifact, the lightning energy it contained had a certain restraining effect on Xiong Yunhu. The purple lightning snake landed on Xiong Yunhu's chest, widening the wound. Xiong Yunhu had been chasing Yi Jioge for a long time and was about to go crazy. Now that he was heavily injured again, he immediately roared in anger. He took out a blood bead from his storage bag and swallowed it. "Not good, quickly kill him or you won't be able to escape," Yi Jioge shouted. One blood bead was enough for Xiong Yunhu to reach Spirit Master level. Now that he swallowed another one, it would be even more dangerous. Yi Yuxuan had been watching the battle from the side. When he heard this, he frowned and silently walked towards the door. He had only come here to take care of the evil girl Yi Jioge. He did not want to get involved in this mess. Most importantly, he instinctively felt that the bloody man was very dangerous. He was no match for him, so it was better for him to escape first. At this moment, Xiong Yunhu, who had swallowed the 2 blood pearls, had undergone a shocking transformation. His muscles suddenly swelled up, and his entire body swelled up. The skin and flesh on his body ruptured and blood spurted out. The blood did not flow along his muscles to the ground. Instead, it fused into his protective blood mist. The blood mist spread wildly, instantly enveloping the entire alchemy pavilion. Yi Yuxuan was startled. He immediately activated his defensive spirit light and rushed toward the door, but he was bounced back by a ray of blood-red light. "No one wants to leave here today." Xiong Yunhu's round eyes were bloodshot, and a terrifying light flashed in his pupils. His voice was hoarse like a crazed beast, filled with a bloodthirsty and violent aura. Countless small blood-colored bells condensed in the blood mist and flew to Xiong Yunhu's body, looking very funny. Zishang hugged Yi Jioge and whispered in her ear, "Be careful, this blood mist is strange." Of course. Yi Jioge nervously stared at the blood-colored bells on Xiong Yunhu's body. Before she even finished speaking, the blood-colored bells began to shake crazily. Waves of demonic sounds pierced her ears. It was as if countless ants had drilled into her flesh and blood and were gnawing at her. Yi Jioge trembled in discomfort. In the next moment, a cold aura drilled into her body from Zishang's palm, and like a river bursting through a dam, it sent the ants flying. The rest were devoured by the white bone fire in her dantian. Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei were not as lucky as Yi Jioge. They could only tremble and cover their ears, desperately resisting the demonic sound. It was fine for the 2 of them with high cultivation, but the guards who were only elementary spiritualists were in trouble. They let out shrill screams and exploded on the spot. "Ha!" Xiong Yunhu laughed crazily. He opened his mouth and sucked in the flesh and blood of the guards. He even licked his lips with relish. Yi Jioge looked at Xiong Yunhu's blood-red tongue, and goosebumps rose all over her body. Compared to Xiong Yunhu's move, Lu Yunfei's blood bells were like heavenly music. "Grandmaster Yi Jioge, we must work together to take down this evil cultivator today. Otherwise, I'm afraid our lives will be in danger." Gong Honglei calmed his surging blood and looked at Xiong Yunhu vigilantly. "He, didn't you say that I'm the leader of the evil cultivators and wanted to arrest me and execute me on the spot? Why do you want to cooperate with me now? Aren't you afraid that if word gets out, people will say that you're an accomplice of the evil cultivators?" Yi Jioge sneered and mocked without holding back. "Yi Jioge, don't be too proud. Even if this Xiong Yunhu is really an evil cultivator, it's hard to say that you're not his accomplice. Maybe you're not even dividing the spoils and are trying to take advantage of him." Gong Honglei scolded. "According to what you said, I shouldn't help you even more." Yi Jioge was really angered by Gong Honglei's words. "If you don't want to help, then don't." Gong Honglei angrily raised his sword and flew towards Xiong Yunhu. He was able to join the Spiritualist Alliance not only because of the Gong family's background, but also because of his talent in swordsmanship. He was already a level 2 swordmaster and had a certain level of mastery in the gung metal sword technique. Under the same cultivation level, sword cultivators were the strongest, which was why he had such a fiery temper. "I'll help you." After Yi Yuxuan was unable to break through the blood mist several times, He had already understood the situation. If they didn't kill this evil cultivator, they wouldn't be able to leave this place. He decisively took out a palm-sized fire gourd, which contained the flames he had collected over the years. Although it couldn't compare to the spiritual fire of heaven and earth, it was still very magical. If it wasn't for the fact that the situation was critical, he wouldn't have taken it out. Yushuan injected spirit power into the fire gourd, and a greenish-red flame shot out, stabbing towards Xiong Yunhu along with Gong Honglei's sword light. The golden sword light with the greenish-red flame broke through the thick blood mist and rushed forward with an unstoppable momentum. Seeing this, Yi Zhouge hurriedly controlled the Thunder Snake illusionary whip to follow behind them. "It's useless, save some spirit power," Zi Shang said lazily. In such a tense situation, he was like an outsider, covering his mouth and yawning from time to time. "If you don't want to help, then forget it. Don't pour cold water on me." Yi Zhouge scolded. Not only was Zi Shang not angry, he even said lewdly, "Fine, fine, you can speak if you have big breasts." Chapter 202. Sarcasm. This was blatant sarcasm. Although Yi Zhouge had started to develop recently, she was still far from having big breasts. If not for the situation being dire, Yi Zhouge really wanted to beat Zi Shang to death. Unfortunately, she was no match for him. In her anger, Yi Zhouge turned her humiliation into strength and whipped a purple lightning snake at Xiong Yunhu. "Insignificant tricks, you dare to be impudent." Xiong Yunhu waved her hands and dispersed Yi Zhouge's purple lightning snake. Yi Zhouge's whip was just to make up the numbers. What was truly effective were Yi Yushuan's flames and Gong Honglei's sword rays. Unexpectedly, the blood mist on Xiong Yunhu's body surged out and extinguished Yi Yushuan's azure flames like a flood. Yi Yushuan's face paled and he took 2 steps back. Although he had held back in his attack just now, he was still extremely shocked that he had been defeated so easily. Fortunately, Gong Honglei's 6-yang sword was still flying. Xiong Yunhu stretched out his blood-red hand towards the 6-yang sword. The golden sword ray twisted like a fish and nimbly dodged Xiong Yunhu's hand. Yi Zhouge's eyes lit up when she saw Gong Honglei's sword ray break through the defense. "Go!" Gong Hongle shouted and controlled the 6-yang sword to stab at Xiong Yunhu's eyes. Unexpectedly, Xiong Yunhu suddenly opened his mouth and bit the 6-yang sword. There was a cracking sound. The sound of the sword breaking could be heard. Xiong Yunhu actually bit Gong Honglei's 6-yang sword into pieces. The 6-yang sword was connected to Gong Honglei's aura, so the sword's destruction also damaged his vitality. His face was pale as he staggered back a few steps and spat out a mouthful of blood. "Haha, I want to taste what a sword cultivator tastes like." Xiong Yunhu chewed the 6-yang sword and spat it to the side. The large palm flew towards Gong Hongle. Gong Hongle took out a stack of talismans and threw them at the large palm. Boom, 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 boom. Unfortunately, to Xiong Yunhu, the damage from these low-level talismans was less than that of a mosquito. Seeing the large palm approaching, Gong Hongle couldn't help but widen his eyes as despair filled his heart. Yi Yushuan saw that the situation was bad and hurriedly controlled the fire gourd to shoot out several azure flames to block Xiong Yunhu. He knew very well that if Gong Hongle died, he would be next. A mere alchemist dares to stop me? The bloody mist around Xiong Yunhu's body surged again, and he extinguished Yi Yushuan's flames with a single palm strike. Cracks immediately appeared on Yi Yushuan's fire gourd, causing him to almost vomit blood in pain. Gong Hongle was about to fall into Xiong Yunhu's hands. At the critical moment, a soft whip wrapped around Gong Honglei's waist and pulled him to the side. Gong Honglei's body slammed into a tree and slumped down weakly. Fallen leaves covered his head and face. He was sure that Yi Zhouge did it on purpose. However, even if brother Yi Zhou had done it on purpose, he wouldn't dare criticize him. With his previous bad attitude towards Yi Zhouge saving his life was already merciful. If he wanted her to treat him gently, then he must be daydreaming. "Zhouge, let's talk about our past grudges when we get out of here. If you have a way to deal with this evil cultivator, hurry up and say it." At this critical moment, Yi Yushuan didn't dare to sell his father's dignity and pleaded. If I had a way, I wouldn't be trapped here, Yi Jiuge replied snappily. Although she didn't have a way, she knew that Zishang definitely had a way. The situation was critical, so she could only plead with Zishang in a low voice, "Please, help me one more time." If she let Xiong Yunhu escape, not only would there be endless trouble in the future, but she would also not be able to clear her name. I said that I only have a third of my demon power left, Zishang said coldly. Yi Jiuge bit her lower lip. This Xiong Yunhu was extremely dangerous after swallowing the blood beads, so she didn't dare ask Zishang to take the risk for her. If she couldn't do it, then she could only escape first. If she left now, she could still get help and have a chance to save Master Dongfang. As for Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei, they could only blame their bad luck for not trusting her. Yi Jiuge made up her mind. Just as she was about to ask Zishang to take her away, she heard him say, "Although I only have a third of my demon power left, if you agree to one of my conditions, I will have a chance to recover all my demon power." What condition? Yi Jiuge's spirit was lifted. She knew that Zishang wouldn't be so useless. "I heard that a woman's primordial yin is a great tonic." As Zishang spoke, his pair of peach blossom eyes floated towards Yi Jiuge. His meaning was self-evident. Yi Jiuge was speechless. In the end, this demon snake was still thinking about her body. She wasn't afraid of thieves stealing, but she was afraid of thieves remembering. Forget it, since she couldn't keep it, it was better to give it away earlier. Yi Jiuge clenched her teeth and said decisively, "Fine, I'll give you my primordial yin." So straightforward? Zishang raised his eyebrows in surprise. He had flirted with her so many times, but this little girl refused to comply even if he beat her to death. "But I have a condition. I have to wait until I'm 18. Yi Jiuge saw Zishang frown and added, "I'll be 18 in a month. It won't be hard to wait, right?" "Okay, I promise you." A month was indeed not hard to wait. In any case, Zishang didn't want to eat her immediately. "Also, you have to tell me in advance before sleeping. I can't suddenly fall down." Yi Jiuge said very seriously, "The first time, I have to make some preparations." This time, Zishang was a bit speechless. Shouldn't an ordinary girl blush when talking about this? How could Yi Jiuge casually talk about sleeping? He was really too unreserved. However, he liked Yi Jiuge's unreserved taste. "What, you still want to use force?" Yi Jiuge frowned. If Zishang had such a perverted hobby, then she would definitely not accompany him. "If I don't use force, how can I do it?" Zishang couldn't help but laugh. Those peach blossom eyes floated around, almost drilling into Yi Jiuge's heart. "Rogue!" Yi Jiuge rolled her eyes. She was sure that Zishang was just teasing her. Forget it, there was still a month. Let's talk about this bed problem later. Just when Yi Jiuge and Zishang seemed to be talking about conditions, they were actually flirting. Yi Yuxuan had already been beaten to the point of pissing his pants by Xiong Yunhu. He cried for his parents and said, "Jiuge, are you listening to me?" Yi Jiuge coldly replied. She had no feelings for this scumbag father. Yi Yuxuan almost blurted out the words "sinful girl." Fortunately, he still knew that he was asking for help. He swallowed the words in his throat and then said pitifully, "Jiuge, no matter what, I'm still your father. Do you really want to watch me die?" With that, he hurriedly rolled and dodged Xiong Yunhu's attack. Chapter 203. Before Yi Jiuge could reply to Yuxuan, Xiong Yunhu had already started laughing out loud. "Yi Yuxuan, oh Yi Yuxuan, it's hard for you to claim to be a pill Dao master. Your skin is actually so thick. Previously, you were shouting and shouting at the city gate, calling her a sinful girl. Now, you're actually asking her to save your life." He could have killed Yi Yuxuan a long time ago. Right now, he was just teasing him to vent his anger. "TK, the Xiong Yunhu spoke too well. I don't even have the heart to kill him." Yi Jiuge sighed regretfully. Xiong Yunhu laughed arrogantly and said, "Yi Yuxuan, don't worry. I will definitely bring your evil daughter back to our ancestor to love her." Yi Jiuge immediately changed her mind. "Forget it, the weather is cold, let him die." She hated those scumbags who kept saying that women were playthings. "Let's wait a little longer," Zishang said calmly. What are you waiting for? Yi Jioga didn't understand. There is a time limit for his blood beads. It won't be too late to kill him after he's done playing with him, Zishang said coolly. I can wait, but you must protect Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei's lives. That way, my contribution will be doubled, Yi Jioga added. Otherwise, if the people of Alchemy City rushed in and saw a pile of corpses, they would blame her again. Sure, Zishang said indifferently. In his eyes, Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei were just two ants. Since Xiao Jioga said he would stay, then he would. I've played enough. That Xiong Yunhu naturally knew that his blood transformation time was limited. However, he felt that the overall situation was under his control and that no one in Alchemy City was his opponent. This was why he was in the mood to tease Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei. Seeing that it was almost time, and the two of them were already half dead, it was time to call it a day. With this thought in mind, Xiong Yunhu shot out two extremely viscous blood swords that flew towards Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei. These two blood swords were even more powerful than Lu Yunfei. As long as one was scratched by it, they would immediately turn into two streams of blood and be sucked into the Xiong Yunhu's stomach. Yi Yuxuan collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. He no longer had the strength to dodge the blood sword. Gong Honglei barely raised his arm, but unfortunately, that bit of spirit force couldn't stop the blood sword at all. Quick, save him. Yi Jioga anxiously pulled Zishang's sleeve and said, if they die, then don't blame me for breaking the contract. What's the hurry? Zishang rolled his eyes at Yi Jioga. He lazily raised his hand and opened and closed his jade-white palm. An incomparably powerful aura shot out from his palm. Two whooshing sounds were heard. Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei's bodies were like marionettes, flying diagonally backwards. Two blood-red swords pierced through the place where they had just been, creating two large holes. Yi Yuxuan's eyes lit up. He knew that Yi Jioga had saved him. Just as he was about to speak, the world suddenly spun around him, and one of his nostrils seemed to be pierced by something. He took a closer look and found that Gong Honglei's finger was stuck in his nostril, and his smelly foot was right next to Gong Honglei's mouth. The vines wrapped around them tightly and hung them upside down. Such a difficult pose was definitely done by someone with malicious intent. Vulgar. Yi Jioga looked at Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei, who were sticking their noses in and smelling their stinky feet. He didn't want to admit that he felt a little refreshed. Who's there? Xiong Yunhu didn't expect that there would be someone hiding under the blood mist, and that he hadn't discovered them. At this moment, he remembered that when he was chasing after Yi Jioga, she was also saved by a mysterious person. Xiong Yunhu, you've done all sorts of evil. You colluded with Su Junqing to frame me, and you even caused the deaths of so many people. Surrender! Yi Jioga shouted arrogantly. You think you can make me surrender? Xiong Yunhu looked berserk on the surface, but his palm moved slightly in secret. An extremely viscous blood mist turned into a poisonous snake, and under the cover of the blood mist, it silently flew towards Yi Jioga. Bang! The blood snake exploded on the spot before it could even get close to Yi Jioga. Xiong Yunhu's heart palpitated again. This time, it was as if a large hand was tightly squeezing his heart. He had never felt like this before. It was the despair of dying. He instantly knew that the mysterious person behind Yi Jioga was not someone he could deal with. He immediately roared, and the blood mist around his body turned into countless sharp swords that shot towards Yi Jioga like a torrential storm. This was his final trump card, the myriad blood arrow. He usually used it to kill his enemies, but this time, he used it to escape. Xiong Yunhu didn't even dare to look at the result of using this move. He turned around and rushed towards Dongfang Yao's room. Although it was a pity that he couldn't bring Yi Jioga and the two blood-clothed Miao people back, as long as he brought Dongfang Yao back, he would have completed his mission. He believed that the ancestor wouldn't blame him. Xiong Yunhu's plan was very clear, but before he could fly into Dongfang Yao's room, a strange and powerful force attacked him from behind. He suddenly turned around to meet it with his palm, but it was as if he had hit the air. Be obedient, don't make this sovereign waste his demon power. An ethereal and pleasant voice rang out. Following this, a beautiful and seductive face appeared in the air. Black hair like ink, red lips like blood, and a demonic smile. Especially those pitch-black eyes, which were shrouded in a mysterious light. Those pupils gradually shrank, turning into purple vertical pupils. Countless tiny pupils spun around in his eyes, like a kaleidoscope, dazzling and enchanting. Xiong Yunhu was attracted by those bewitching purple pupils, and he couldn't help but say, "Okay. Good child." Zi Shang smiled slightly, and his black fingernails grew and suddenly slashed across Xiong Yunhu's neck. With a plop, Xiong Yunhu's head rolled down from his neck. Fresh blood spurted out, dyeing the entire door red and forming a river. Zi Shang stood in this blood and looked back at Yi Jioge with a smile. His beautiful jade-like face was still stained with a drop of Xiong Yunhu's blood. He looked so beautiful, so moving, bloodthirsty, and seductive, it was simply shocking. His beauty carried a heavy killing intent and the domineering aura of a powerhouse that said, "Submit to me and prosper, or oppose me and perish." He attacked Yi Jioge from all directions, leaving her nowhere to run. Yi Jioge's little heart was about to shrink. Why did she feel that after Zi Shang transformed into his human form, he was even more demonic and terrifying than before when he was in his half-snake form? "Fortunately, I didn't fail you." Zi Shang returned to Yi Jioge's side. He placed his right hand on his chest and slightly bowed, as if he was reporting to his own leader. Yi Jioge came back to her senses, and only then did she realize that Zi Shang killed the terrifying Xiong Yunhu in one move. She instantly felt like she was tricked and couldn't help but shout, "Didn't you say that you only have 1/3 of your demon power left?" Yes, after killing that Xiong Yunhu, this sovereign didn't have any demon power left. Zi Shang blinked innocently, and then raised his hand to support his forehead. His body swayed and fell on Yi Jioge's body, and said weakly, "Aya, I can't take it anymore. This sovereign is so dizzy, quickly support me." Chapter 204. Keep pretending. Yi Jioge pushed him twice, but he couldn't push Zi Shang away. He could only resign himself to his fate and let him stay. "Don't you want to see your spoils?" He didn't forget to give Yi Jioge some benefits. "Oh right." Yi Jioge's eyes brightened as he took Xiong Yunhu's storage pouch. As the head disciple of the Bloodthirst School, this guy must have a lot of good stuff. Yi Jioge had to take a good look later. Yi Jioge put away Xiong Yunhu's pouch and entered the room to check on Grandmaster Dongfeng. Xiong Yunhu's blood mist was broken with his death. The Crown Prince, Yi Shanshan, and Gong Honglei's men, as well as the fourth-ranked alchemists from Alchemy City, Elder Chen and Elder Xiao, all rushed in. The originally beautiful alchemy pavilion had turned into hell. The ground was littered with broken limbs and the stench of blood was nauseating. Grandmaster Yi and young Master Gong are over there. Elder Chen's sharp eyes immediately saw the half-dead Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei hanging from a tree. "Grandmaster Yi, young Master Gong, are you two all right?" Everyone rushed to save them. "Brother Honglei, where did Yi Jioge go?" The Crown Prince squeezed in front of Gong Honglei and asked while reaching out to help him. Gong Honglei avoided the Crown Prince's hand and stood up with his trusted sword boy's shoulder. He coldly said, "Young Miss Yi is protecting Grandmaster Dongfeng. If it wasn't for her, Grandmaster Yi, Grandmaster Dongfeng, and I would have been dead by now." "What did you say? Yi Jioge was protecting Grandmaster Dongfeng and she even saved you? Are you joking?" The Crown Prince raised his voice, wondering if Gong Honglei's head was broken. "I'm not joking. Yi Jioge is not the leader of the heretics. She has always been protecting us, Grandmaster Dongfeng, and all of Alchemy City. On the other hand, Dongfeng Jianming, you are the one who is distorting the truth and putting the blame on Yi Jioge. You misled me to deal with her and almost killed a good person." Gong Honglei roared at the Crown Prince. "Gong Honglei, who are you talking to?" The Crown Prince's face turned red from anger. Other than his father, no one dared to call him by his name. "Of course I know who I'm talking to. You're the B*TCH who let Xiong Yunhu in and caused Master Dongfeng to be poisoned. What the F***ck are your intentions?" Gong Honglei was still scared when he recalled the scene just now. He was so close to dying on the spot. He was about to lose his life, so why would he care about who the crown prince was? Of course, he would scold him as he pleased. The crown prince was so enraged by Gong Honglei that his face and neck turned red. He loosened and clenched his fists, on the verge of exploding. All right, everyone, stop talking. Xiong Yunhu is extremely well hidden, and His Highness the Crown Prince didn't let him in on purpose. Let's hurry up and go in to see Master Dongfeng. Yi Yuxuan struggled to stand up. Father, is it really Yi no, big sister who killed that evil cultivator and saved you? Yi Xianxia and the Crown Prince stood at the entrance of the alchemy pavilion. That blood-red light was extremely terrifying. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't blast it away. One could only imagine how terrifying the evil cultivator who laid down this layer of bloody light was. She did not believe that Yi Jioge could kill such an evil cultivator. If Yi Jioge really had that kind of ability, he wouldn't have been forced to surrender. Although she didn't personally kill him, the expert who did it must have a great relationship with her. When you go in later, you must be very respectful. Don't anger the expert. Yi Yuxuan warned Yi Xianxia sternly. He was hanging upside down on the tree just now, so he couldn't see very clearly. He only saw a purple shadow flash where Yi Jioge was, and 5 breaths later, Xiong Yunhu's head fell to the ground. The whole process happened in the blink of an eye, so fast that it was unimaginable. It was like a dream. He didn't see the expert's appearance clearly. He only saw Yi Jioge casually put away Xiong Yunhu's storage bag. Only then did he believe that the expert and Yi Jioge had an affair, or else he wouldn't have allowed her to plunder his spoils of war. Yes, I understand. Yi Xianxia replied obediently. An expert that even her father admired was definitely not a simple person. If she tried to rope him in, he would definitely be of great use. Master Yi, is that expert really that powerful? The crown prince had been rejected by Gong Honglei, so he could only come to Yi Yuxuan to inquire about the news. Young Master Gong and I were beaten by Xiong Yunhu without any ability to fight back. That expert made Xiong Yunhu's head fall to the ground in one move. Do you think he's powerful? Yi Yuxuan said with emotion. If he had known that Yi Jioge knew such an expert, he definitely wouldn't have kicked Yi Jioge out of the house. However, since Yi Jioge was willing to save him, it meant that she still cared about their father-daughter relationship. No matter what, he was still her father. As long as he coaxed her a bit, she should let bygones be bygones. Yi Yuxuan was busy calculating, so he didn't notice the crown prince's panicked expression and guilty eyes. Su Junqing used the excuse that Xiong Yunhu was a level 2 alchemist and was very good at curing strange poisons, so he asked the crown prince to recommend him to take care of Master Dongfeng. At that time, Old Chen and Old Xiao strongly objected, feeling that they shouldn't let outsiders take care of Master Dongfeng. It was because of his solemn pledge that Old Chen and Old Xiao allowed Xiong Yunhu to enter the alchemy pavilion. Now that Xiong Yunhu's identity as an evil cultivator was exposed, he and Su Junqing would be in danger. In that case, Su Junqing didn't disappear at all, but ran away when he found out that the matter was exposed. That damned piece of trash had really caused him so much trouble. Gong Honglei was already suspicious of the crown prince, so he had been secretly observing his expression. Seeing that his expression changed again and again, without any joy of killing the evil cultivator and finding the real culprit, he knew that the crown prince was guilty. Maybe his sister's death was also related to him. Because when he came to the alchemy city, he personally asked Dongfeng Jiaming to take care of his sister, and his sister also replied that the crown prince was very close to her. Thinking of this, Gong Honglei wanted to kill Dongfeng Jiaming. However, after the evil stand just now, he had exhausted his spiritual power, and the 6-yang sword was also destroyed. If he acted rashly, he was afraid that he would beat the grass and alert the enemy. He could only suppress the anger in his heart and coldly said to the crown prince, "Put other things aside, the most important thing now is the safety of Master Dongfeng." Young Master Gong is right, let's quickly go in and see Master Dongfeng. Old Chen and Old Xiao quickly nodded. Although they were level 4 alchemists, they usually only cultivated and never cared about worldly things. So after Master Dongfeng and Li Zijuan fell, they left everything to the crown prince and Zhang Peng to deal with. They didn't expect that the crown prince and Zhang Peng would make a mess of things, so they had to personally take care of it. Chapter 205. The crown prince, Yi Yuxuan, Yi Shanshan, Gong Honglei, Elder Chen, Elder Xiao, and the others squeezed into the room. After passing through the outer hall and entering the inner room, they saw Yi Jioga sitting in front of Master Dongfang's bed. She was calmly taking his pulse with a solemn expression on her beautiful face. Behind her stood a breathtakingly beautiful man dressed in a light purple robe. When he saw the crowd enter, he put a white finger to his rosy lips and made a shushing gesture. It was a simple action, but it was incomparably enchanting and magical. It was so beautiful that it was suffocating. Everyone couldn't help but hold their breaths and stare at him in a daze. Yi Shanshan stood dumbfounded on the spot. She didn't expect there to be such a seductive man in the world. Although the crown prince was considered a dragon among men and was extraordinarily handsome, compared to the man in front of her, the difference was like the clouds and mud. Yi Shanshan felt her heart pounding. It was about to fly out of her mouth and fall into the man's hands. Yi Shanshan wasn't the only one who thought this. Even the crown prince and Gong Honglei were head over heels for Zishang. He thought to himself, no wonder there are gay men in this world. Such a beautiful man, he would even be willing to kneel at his feet. After Yi Jioga finished taking Master Dongfang's pulse, she looked up and saw a large group of people staring at Zishang. She couldn't help but fake a few coughs and give Zishang a warning look. You know you're a monster, so don't release your hormones. It will cause trouble for me. Zishang smiled at Yi Jioga, as if to say, I know, my charm will only bloom for you. The two of them exchanged flirtatious glances with each other. Only then did everyone wake up from Zishang's enchantment. Yi Shanshan tidied up her hair and shyly bowed to Zishang. She used her most pleasant voice to ask, May I ask for your name, master? Zishang didn't reply. Instead, he lowered his head and asked Yi Jioga, What do you think I should call you? Whatever you like. Why are you asking me? Yi Jioga felt very unhappy after receiving Yi Shanshan's hatred. I'm your guard, so I naturally have to listen to you. Please give me a name, Mississippi. Zishang's voice was very gentle. Bestow your head to hell. Yi Jioga didn't think that he had the face to give Zishang a name, so he said perfunctorily, If it's convenient for you to call me by your original name, then just call me by your original name. Yi Jioga had considered that Zishang had always been secretive and could not be seen, so he gave him a way out. All right, I'll take your surname then. I'll be called Yi Zi. Zishang smiled. The name of the Yaoma could not be easily revealed to others. In this world, besides Yi Jioga, no one was worthy of calling him by his name. Yi Zi isn't bad either. Yi Jioga nodded perfunctorily, then said to Yi Shanshan, who was completely stunned, Did you hear that? His name is Yi Zi. Yi Shanshan didn't expect this handsome man to be so loyal to Yi Jioga. He even wanted her to give him a name. Her heart felt like it was being stabbed by a knife. So, the master's name is Yi Zi. Yi Yuxuan immediately let out a hearty laugh and said, Thank you for taking care of my little girl Jioga. Since you chose to have the same surname as us, we'll be family from now on. Who's family with you? Grandmaster Yi, don't forget that we're no longer related. Yi Jioga said with a straight face. Jioga, what happened before was father's fault. Father already knows that he was wrong. Please forgive father this once. Yi Yuxuan pulled down his old face and begged. Grandmaster Yi, how could I dare to be angry at you? Even if I'm not angry, you want my life. If I'm really angry, I'll be poisoned to death by you in the middle of the night. Yi Jioga sneered. It's all my fault. You can scold me however you want, as long as you're still willing to recognize me as your father. Yi Yuxuan was in a sorry state. He was covered in mud and had a head injury. He used such a humble and pitiful tone to beg Yi Jioga. Everyone who saw it felt that Yi Jioga was too heartless. Yi Jioga was also very helpless against Yi Yuxuan's thick skin. In the past, Yi Yuxuan would fling his sleeves and walk away if he used words to pressure him. Now, he was completely shameless. He wanted to beat him up, but he couldn't find an excuse to do so. It was really sullen. Jioga? Yi Yuxuan wanted to continue, but he saw Zishang raise his hand. His body involuntarily flew in front of Zishang. Zishang grasped the air and lifted Yi Yuxuan up. Yi Yuxuan's face turned purple as he struggled with all his might. He grabbed at his neck with both hands, trying to break free from the force that was strangling his neck, but it was useless. Yi Zi, just teach him a lesson. Don't make it seem like you're resigned to your fate. Yi Jioga's tone was indifferent, fully showing her heartlessness towards Yi Yuxuan. Yes. Zishang replied gently. He raised his hand and threw Yi Yuxuan out. Yi Yuxuan flew out like a kite with a broken string. He hung on a tree and fainted. Father! Yi Xianxia screamed and pointed at Yi Jioga angrily. Big sister, even if father is in the wrong, he is still our father. Have you forgotten the kindness of giving birth to us? How dare you do such a vicious thing to father? Yi Xianxia's words were stuck in her throat. No matter what she said, she couldn't say it. She looked at Zishang with wide eyes in horror. She couldn't believe that he would treat her like this. Noisy. Zishang calmly retracted his hand, then looked around and asked softly, who else? The people who were swept by his gaze felt like frogs being stared at by a poisonous snake. They couldn't help but shiver and couldn't say a word. They all shook their heads desperately. What a joke. This was the person who killed Xiong Yunhu in one move. Moreover, he didn't even give face to Yi Jioga's father, Yi Yuxuan. Who would dare to be impudent in front of him? Alright, stop scaring people. You're tired. Go and rest. Yi Jioga patted Zishang's arm in satisfaction. It wouldn't be good if he acted too much and caused public anger. Yes. Zishang gave him face and replied. He restrained his aura and took a step back. He was clearly still standing there, but inexplicably he didn't seem to exist. An expert. He was definitely an expert. This strange move made Elder Chen, Elder Xiao, and the others even more shocked. They couldn't figure out Zishang's background and were even more afraid of Yi Jioga. Ooh! Yi Xianxia, who had been forgotten by everyone, pointed at Yi Jioga and then at her throat, asking Yi Jioga to save her. If you take Grandmaster Yi away now, I will consider giving you a chance to speak. Yi Jioga's tone was very calm, but everyone could hear the threat in it. Yi Xianxia gritted her teeth and looked at Zishang bitterly. In the end, she turned around and took Yi Yuxuan away from the tree. Alright, everyone. Let's talk about Grandmaster Dongfang now. Yi Jioga smiled faintly and turned everyone's attention back to him. Chapter 206. Yes, miss, how is Master Dongfang's injury? Elder Chen and Elder Xiao asked. Master Dongfang has been poisoned by a rare poison. It was created by the ancestor of the bloodthirsty sect using his own blood and the Frost Spider King's poison. I don't have a way to cure it right now. Yi Jioga added, the Frost Spider King's poison is unique to the bloodthirsty sect. Dongfang Ke was poisoned by that very same poison. Everyone was in an uproar when they heard this. Miss Yi, since you can recognize this poison, you must have a way to cure it. As long as you tell us, you can name any condition you want. Elder Chen said anxiously. That's right, young Miss Yi. Grandmaster Dongfang is not only our Alchemy City's city lord, he is also the only 6th-ranked alchemist in our Thunder Country. If anything were to happen to him, our Thunder Country would be shaken. Elder Xiao pleaded with a bitter expression. If Master Dongfang died, Alchemy City would be gone as well. Although I can't cure Master Dongfang's poison, I can help him alleviate it. Yi Jioga said slowly. Please speak, Miss Yi. Elder Chen and Elder Zhao's eyes lit up. But the cure isn't with me, it's with my companions. You guys were so loud last night that they probably won't dare come. It was impossible for Yi Jioga not to hold a grudge after being forced into such a state by his idiotic companions. Miss Yi, we were instigated by scoundrels to blame good people. Please be magnanimous and forgive us. Yes, miss, we're willing to apologize. Miss, Master Dongfang never doubted you. Everyone apologized at the same time. There's no point in begging me. I don't have the cure. Yi Jioga stood up. His clear eyes swept across the crowd and he said coldly, you guys think of a way to invite my companions back. I'll give Master Dongfang the medicine whenever they return. Yi Jioge, how dare you joke around with my uncle's life? Aren't you afraid that he'll blame you later? The Crown Prince said angrily. Worry about yourself. Yi Jioge looked at the Crown Prince as if he was looking at a dead man. The Crown Prince wanted to scold him again, but he was stopped by Elder Qin. This is our fault, so we should apologize. Don't worry, eldest Mississippi. We will ask your companions to come back and save Master Dongfang with the most sincere attitude. I'll send someone to post an imperial notice right now to announce the contributions of the young miss and her companion to Alchemy City. That's right, we'll pull up a banner and apologize to the city gate. As long as they forgive us, we'll let them hit us as they please. How can we just talk and not act? I think we should just carry a thorn and ask for punishment. Yes, 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 please accept my humble apology. Elder Qin and Elder Xiao nodded. Offering a humble apology is a good idea, but it depends on who is doing it. Yi Jioge's gaze fell upon the Crown Prince. His meaning was obvious. Audacious. I am the Crown Prince of the Thunder Country. Who dares to ask for my humble apologies? The Crown Prince bellowed out. Your Royal Highness, why are you still putting on airs at a time like this? He didn't think that Elder Qin and Elder Xiao wouldn't be afraid of him at all. On the contrary, they raised their necks and shouted, if you didn't lead the wolf into the house, Master Dongfang wouldn't have been harmed by a heretic. Let me tell you, asking for a humble apology is a light punishment. If anything happens to Master Dongfang, just wait to see His Imperial Majesty with your head. The Crown Prince was trembling with anger, but he knew that Elder Qin and Elder Xiao were telling the truth. His father had many sons. If he were to die, another would be the Crown Prince. However, his uncle was the only 6th-ranked alchemist in the entire Thunder Country. If he were to die, there would be nothing left. Fine, for the sake of saving my uncle, I am willing to offer my humble apology. The Crown Prince was a flexible person, so he immediately lowered his head. Elder Qin and Elder Xiao's expressions softened as they praised. That's right. When Master Dongfang wakes up, we will tell you everything we did for him. Thank you. The Crown Prince cupped his hands. He suddenly felt that offering a humble apology wasn't a bad idea. At the very least, it gave him a chance to redeem himself. There's no time to lose. Everyone, please go ahead. Yi Jioge was determined to follow them. Elder Qin, Elder Xiao, and the others were extremely fast. The Imperial Board, banners, and vines were quickly prepared. The Imperial Board was plastered all over the streets and alleys of Alchemy City. There were even soldiers sent to patrol the streets. Everyone, including the Crown Prince, tied the vines around their necks and carried the banners towards the city gate. Outside of Alchemy City, on a small hill, Bai Songling stared at the city gate. His mind was constantly thinking about how to sneak in and save the young miss. Why don't I go in and take a look? Yi Yu moved closer to him. Forget it. Your injuries haven't healed yet. There's no point in going in. Don't go in again. Plus, Xiang still needs your care. Bai Songling shook his head. He wasn't familiar with Luo Tian and Junichen, so he was too embarrassed to ask them to take care of him. The treasure-seeking scorpion waved its pincers, wanting to volunteer to go in and take a look. Unfortunately, there was no one here who could understand its beast language, so it was useless even though it was a hero. Look, there's movement at the top of the wall. Luo Tian stood up and focused his attention on the wall. It looks like a banner. Bai Songling saw it and nervously said, Don't tell me they want to threaten us again. Luo Tian's eyesight was good enough to see the words on the banner. He read it out loud. Young Miss Yi and her companions are the benefactors of Alchemy City. We wrongly accused good people and deserve to die 10,000 times over. We are here to offer our humble apologies. Oh, there really are people carrying vines. Isn't that Elder Qin and Elder Xiao, 4th-rank alchemists from Alchemy City? Damn, Dongfang Jianming is here as well. This can't be a trap, right? Bai Songling's group was in a heated discussion. They didn't dare to believe these people until Yi Jioge's arrogant voice came from the top of the wall. They have already apologized. Everyone, come back. Young Miss is too amazing. How did she do it? Bai Songling's eyes widened. Last night, they were forced into a miserable state by the Crown Prince and Alchemy City's people. Today, they came to offer their humble apologies. This was too fantastical. If young Miss wasn't amazing, she wouldn't be our young Mississippi, Yi Yu smiled. Everyone, don't let your guard down. Be careful of traps. Luo Tian cautiously said. After years of being chased, he wouldn't easily trust others under any circumstances. Luo Tian is right. How about this, you stay here and take care of Xiang. The three of us will go in and take a look. Bai Songling stuffed Lu Yunfei's storage pouch into Yi Yu's hands. Just as he was about to nag, he heard Yi Jioga's voice coming from afar. Why are you all dilly-dallying? It turned out that Yi Jioga had been waiting at the top of the wall for a long time. Seeing that Bai Songling's group didn't show up, he simply jumped down to look for them. Zishang casually followed behind Yi Jioga and appeared in front of Bai Songling's group with an arm around her shoulder. Chapter 207. Missy, this is? Yi Yu squinted at Zishang's slender and powerful palm on Yi Jioga's shoulder. Such a possessive posture meant that the relationship between this devilishly handsome man and Missy was not simple. This is Yi Zi, my guard. Yi Jioga's shoulder shook off Zishang's restless claw. She glared at Zishang as a warning. Which guard dared to touch Missy's shoulder? Was he courting death? Zishang's lips curled up. He was well behaved. When did Missy get such a guard? Why haven't we seen him before? Bai Songling looked at Zishang cautiously. Such a devilishly handsome man was definitely not normal. Could he be sent by a heretical cultivator? This is a long story. Yi Jioga scratched his face. He could not possibly say that Zishang was her creditor, right? Missy, there's no hurry. We have plenty of time. Yi Yu's voice was gentle but firm. Bai Songling nodded. Luo Tian and Junichen did not speak, but they were avoiding Zishang. It was obvious that they did not trust him. Yi Jioga had a headache. Looking at Bai Songling's attitude, it would be hard to pass without an explanation. However, Zishang was in the limelight this time. She had to think of a reasonable identity for him, or else it would be troublesome when she returned to Shangjing. She could not help but look at Zishang, hoping that he could give her some hints. Zishang raised his brows as he looked at her, looking like a king waiting for orders. Missy, is there something you can't say? The more Bai Songling looked, the more she felt that something was wrong. Heretical cultivators were extremely cunning. Just look at Lu Yunfei. This handsome man called Yi Zi looked like a monster. His skills were probably even more profound. Missy might already be under his control. Bai Songling gave Yi Yu and Luo Tian a look. The three of them moved lightly and surrounded Zishang. At the same time, Xiao Hong, Black Tyrant, and Big Mouth flew up. Even the treasure-seeking scorpion quietly crawled under Zishang's feet, preparing to launch an attack. Zishang's rosy lips curled up slightly. His dark eyes flashed with a teasing light. That mischievous look was so charming that Yi Jioga's heart could not help but tremble. He was not charmed, but scared. Zishang's fingers moved slightly, and an imperceptible force spread out. Don't mess around. Yi Jioga widened his eyes and stretched out his hand. Unfortunately, it was too late. The goo worm Xiao Hong screeched and flew back to Luo Tian's body like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Lil Red curled up in Luo Tian's arms and shivered. It cried and said, "I'm just a little worm." Black Tyrant and Big Mouth were also so frightened that they squirmed in Yi Yu and Bai Songling's clothes. Black Overlord, what's wrong? Yi Yu frantically pacified his goo worm. Big Mouth, get out here. Big Mouth scurried all over Bai Songling's body. It was so itchy that Bai Songling felt uncomfortable all over. He reached out to grab Big Mouth back. He didn't expect Big Mouth to be so flustered that he went into Bai Songling's pants. Bai Songling was so scared that he almost screamed. Yi Jioga held his forehead and looked at the chaotic scene helplessly. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. She lifted her foot and stomped on Zishang's foot. Zishang moved his feet, and Yi Jioga stepped on the head of the treasure-seeking scorpion that had just emerged. The treasure-seeking scorpion wanted to attack, but its master stepped on it. Heartbroken, it flew back to the female scorpion's side to seek comfort. "Young miss, who is he?" Bai Songling angrily covered Big Mouth's moving mouth. He was actually sent by my grandfather to protect me." After Yi Jioga said this, he suddenly thought of a perfect idea. Grandfather couldn't show himself for some reason, so he sent him to protect me in secret. I was able to recover my cultivation and appearance because of him. He had always been hiding in the dark. This time, because the heretic cultivator is too powerful, I asked him to come out and help. Yi Jioga finished in one breath. Without waiting for Bai Songling and the others to ask, he immediately changed the topic. "How is Big Brother One? Is he okay?" Bai Songling was a straightforward person. She immediately fell for Yi Jioga's trick. She honestly replied, "I have already fed him the antidote for the muscle-softening powder. He woke up once last night, but now he has fallen asleep again. I'll go take a look." Yi Jioga followed Bai Songling to the back of the small slope. He saw that Wan Xiang was still lying on the stretcher, but his complexion looked much better than yesterday. Yi Jioga felt his pulse again and nodded. He's fine, but his body is still a bit weak. He needs to eat something good to nourish himself. Where can we find something good to nourish him in this damn place? Bai Songling scratched her head. "I was about to tell you about this. Grandmaster Dongfang was poisoned by the bloodthirsty sex king poison. The people from Alchemy City want us to go back and help him detoxify it." Yi Jioga stopped. No wonder they are all holding banners on the city wall asking for forgiveness. Bai Songling suddenly realized. "Then let's hurry. Right, young miss, this is your bag. See if anything is missing." Yi Yu took out the bag that Yi Jioga gave her for safekeeping. Yi Jioga glanced around. The fat black rat, the treasure-seeking scorpion couple were all there. The bronze cauldron and other things were also there. She nodded. Nothing is missing. Then she remembered something else. "Right, where is Yu Dai? We secretly sent Yu Dai back to the stronghold of Alchemy City last night." Bai Songling said. It wasn't easy for a group of men to take care of a little girl, so they secretly sent her back. If they hadn't agreed to meet up with Yi Jioga outside the city, they would have wanted to stay in the city. "All right, let's go." Yi Jioga hurried back to Alchemy City with Bai Songling and the others. Elder Chen, Elder Xiao, and the Crown Prince were still anxiously waiting on the city wall. When they saw Yi Jioga's group heading straight for the Alchemy Pavilion, they quickly ran down the wall and followed. Yi Jioga returned to Grandmaster Dongfang's house and chased everyone out. Then, she had Bai Songling, Yi Yu, and Luo Tian guard the door, leaving only Zhu Nichen and Zi Shang behind. "Little Mute, can your goo detoxify Grandmaster Dongfang's poison?" Yi Jioga pointed at the master. Zhu Nichen went forward and carefully examined Grandmaster Dongfang's eyelids. Then, he pricked his finger and tasted the blood. "How is it?" Yi Jio was a little nervous. If Little Mute's goo couldn't suppress the Spider King's poison, then she couldn't think of any other way. "If it's just the Snow Spider King's poison, my poisonous Earth Dragon goo can still detoxify it. But after adding the blood essence of the bloodthirsty ancestor, it's beyond the range of those goo." Little Mute shook his head. "What if I can force out a part of the poison in Grandmaster Dongfang's body?" Yi Jioga's Thunderfire Needle could only force out a bit of the poison. The most important part still needed the poisonous Earth Dragon goo to detoxify it. "Let's give it a try." Zhu Nichen looked like he was trying to save a dead horse. "All right, incubate the goo first and get ready." Yi Jioga took out the Thunderfire Needle and pierced it into Grandmaster Dongfang's body. Then she injected spiritual energy to detoxify the poison. Grandmaster Dongfang's meridians were like mud. The Thunderfire Needle had a hard time moving inside. Yi Jioga had only driven it half a circle, and she was already sweating profusely. Her spiritual energy was running out. She was about to take out a spirit recovery pill. Zi Shang suddenly reached out and took it. Chapter 208. What are you doing? Yi Jioga reached out to grab the pill. Xianxia threw the pill into his mouth and said, "I'll give you something better." With that, he placed his palm on Yijioga's back and a wave of pure spiritual power surged in. The stilled thunderfire needle immediately spurted out like it was injected with chicken blood. It instantly passed through several meridians in Master Dongfang's body. "Why are you suddenly helping me?" Yijioga looked at Xianxia vigilantly. This guy was a demon that wouldn't do anything without benefits. It was too suspicious for him to help her for no reason at all. "Because I'm in a good mood today, so I'll give you some benefits." Xianxia wouldn't tell Yijioga that he was making his presence known. Yijioga still had some doubts, but with Xianxia's help, the healing effect was very obvious. She didn't refuse. Soon, the thunderfire needle completed one cycle in Master Dongfang's meridians and flew out of his Baihui point. "Little mute, use your goo." Yijioga stopped. Junichen rolled up his sleeves and a large black dot flew out of his arm. Then it turned into a very beautiful pink caterpillar with a round head and entered Master Dongfang's body. "Why is it pink?" Yijioga asked in surprise. "This is the only mother goo in this batch. If it wasn't for the emergency, he wouldn't have taken it out." He had been raising goo for so many years, but this was the first time he had raised a mother goo. "It's pretty." Yijioga was a bit moved. A pink caterpillar was filled with the heart of a girl. It was very suitable for her. "Don't talk and watch the old man," Junichen said solemnly. The black energy on Master Dongfang's face faded bit by bit. It seemed that the pink caterpillar was starting to work. At this time, Junichen suddenly asked, "The people from Alchemy City treated you so badly, why did you still save him?" "First, Master Dongfang has always been helping me. He's not a bad person. Second, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Master Dongfang was hurt so badly by bloodthirsty ancestor that the two are mortal enemies. Helping him is the same as fighting against bloodthirsty ancestor." Yijioga explained simply. "You really believe this old man can deal with bloodthirsty ancestor?" Junichen glanced at Master Dongfang in disdain. No matter how he looked at it, he was defeated so easily by the bloodthirsty sect. He is the only level 6 alchemist in the Thunder Nation. He has friends all over the world. If he can't deal with it, he will find a helper. Yijioga was very confident in the old man Dongfang Yao. "You have a point," Junichen said thoughtfully. While Yijioga was talking to Junichen, his eyes never left Master Dongfang. She found that after the black aura on his face had subsided to his neck, it suddenly surged back at an even faster speed than before, like a flood breaking through a dam. "What's going on?" Yijioga hurriedly sealed the black gas with a needle and asked Junichen. "That insect queen can't cure his poison," Junichen said coldly. "Damn it." Yijioga could not help but bite his lower lip as he subconsciously looked at Xianxia. It was said that this guy was in a good mood today. Maybe he would give her an idea for free. Unexpectedly, Xianxia's eyelids were half-lidded and his breathing was steady. He had actually fallen asleep while standing. Yijioga looked away gloomily. Sure enough, she could not count on this unreliable guy. She had to rely on herself. Yijioga swallowed a spirit recovery pill and was about to continue using the thunderfire needle to detoxify Master Dongfang when she heard Junichen say coldly, "This old man better be able to deal with the bloodthirsty ancestor." After saying that, his abdomen rose and fell violently. He suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a golden insect. This insect was about the size of a thumb and looked like a beetle. It had the head of an insect, but it had a human face. Upon closer inspection, it looked somewhat similar to Junichen. Other than the human face, the black dots on the beetle's wings were also human faces. They were densely packed, layer upon layer, flickering in and out of existence. It was very strange and scary. "Is this your natal goo? You even managed to cultivate a human face." Yijioga was shocked. The Blood Cloak Miao tribe's cultivation method was very strange. They focused on the integration of human and goo. They devoted their entire lives to cultivating caterpillars into human-shaped insects. It was said that when the human-shaped insects successfully cultivated, they would become their second incarnation. The body would be indestructible and indestructible, comparable to immortality. If I hadn't been injured by that dog bloodthirsty ancestor, I wouldn't have just cultivated a human face, I would have cultivated a human head, the natal goo said unhappily as it flapped its wings. That voice was exactly the same as Junichen's. After spitting out the natal goo, Junichen had become a real mute. He made a gesture to the natal goo with a straight face. What are you rushing me for? I am the king of goo. I usually eat the most poisonous things in the world. Now I have to suck the blood of an old man to detoxify him. How miserable. The natal goo muttered as it flew to Master Dongfang's neck. Then it opened its mouth, revealing its sharp white teeth, and bit down on the blood vessels on the neck. The natal goo's attack was much more powerful than the pink caterpillar. The black gas on Master Dongfang's face dissipated like a receding tide, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. The pink caterpillar wobbled out of Master Dongfang's mouth. Its body had grown 3 times its original size, and it was so fat that it had turned into a pink ball. It flew up and down, and finally fell to the ground with a thud. It bounced and rolled to the corner of the table. It'll be fine, right? Yijioga said as he picked up the round pink caterpillar. It has sucked too much poisonous blood, it can't live. Junichen gestured to Yijioga with a straight face. Can you give it a spirit beast pill? Yijioga felt it was a pity. After all, it was a hero and a rare female insect. It was too trustworthy to die like this. You can try, but the possibility is not high. Junichen waved his hand and ignored Yijioga. Then let's try. Yijioga still had a lot of spirit beast pills. He took out 2 and crushed one to feed it. The fat pink caterpillar was already stuffed to death, but when it saw the good stuff, it forced itself to swallow it. His round belly immediately bulged out again, as if he had a hernia. Yijioga was really afraid that it would die. After feeding it one, he put away the other one. Then he stretched out his fingers and massaged its belly to help it absorb. The pink caterpillar showed a comfortable expression, and with its fat belly, it fell asleep. After eating and sleeping, this pink caterpillar was quite carefree. Yijioga smiled and massaged the pink caterpillar while watching Junichen detoxify Master Dongfang. Chapter 209. Junichen's body didn't move, but his abdomen kept vibrating, making strange noises. The life-bound goo's winged face revealed a ferocious expression, as if it was in great pain. It absorbed the blood faster and faster, and the black gas on Master Dongfang's body decreased. But in that place in his heart, there was always a soybean-sized piece of black gas stuck there. Junichen's face became paler and paler, his face covered in sweat. It was obvious that using the life-bound goo was a huge burden on him. Yijioga opened her spirit eye and looked at Master Dongfang's chest, only to see the black gas stuck to the top of his heart meridian. She took out her thunderfire needle and stabbed it, releasing a small purple electric current. The ball of black chi bounced off. The life-bound goo took the opportunity to suck harder, sucking out a drop of dark red blood from Master Dongfang's neck. The drop of blood was very strange. It was in the shape of a heart. After it was sucked out, it wriggled and tried to escape, but was swallowed by the life-bound goo. Hee, bloodthirsty old man, you didn't think I would be waiting for you here. The life-bound goo chuckled and flew back into Junichen's abdomen. What's up with that drop of blood? Yijioga finally figured it out. Junichen helping Master Dongfang detoxify was fake. He just wanted to suck that drop of blood. That's bloodthirsty old man's life-bound blood essence. It's very important for him to cultivate the bloodthirsty great art. The life-bound goo replied proudly in Junichen's stomach. The reason why bloodthirsty old man was willing to take out this drop of blood essence to make poison was because he had to get Master Dongfang. Unfortunately, no matter how much he calculated, he never expected that Junichen would appear here. He also never expected that Junichen's vital insect would recover its cultivation through Yijioga's spirit beast pill and snatch away his drop of blood. Then is Master Dongfang successfully detoxified? Yijioga didn't care about bloodthirsty old man's blood essence, she only cared about Master Dongfang's illness. This old man is lucky to have met me, but bloodthirsty old man is very cunning. Even though he's detoxified, his body has suffered great damage. To be completely cured, he needs to use the blood lotus from bloodthirsty sect. Otherwise, he can forget about cultivating in the future. Zhu Nichen said, "Blood lotus? What is that?" Yi Jioga asked with a frown. "It's a kind of treasure that bloodthirsty ancestor raises in the blood pond. It's rootless and feeds on blood, but it can bloom into the most beautiful lotus flower. It has the effect of purifying blood. Bloodthirsty ancestor cultivates by sucking human blood, so he has a lot of impurities in his body. He relies on this blood lotus to repair them." Zhu Nichen's eyes were filled with greed when he talked about the blood lotus. It was a good thing. Let's talk about the blood lotus after Master Dongfang wakes up. It was good enough that Yi Jioga had saved his life. Helping him with his cultivation was no longer an option. He'll wake up in an incense stick's time. I'm going to cultivate now. Zhu Nichen had swallowed ancestor Bloodthirsty's blood essence, so he had to refine it as soon as possible. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. "Go, I'll stay here and watch him," Yi Jioga said as he waved his hand. After Zhu Nichen left, Zishang, who had been standing with his eyes closed and pretending to be asleep, suddenly opened his eyes. He stared at Yi Jioga's fingers that were massaging the pink caterpillar and said, "How long are you going to massage it? Don't tell me you're jealous of a bug." Yi Jioga looked at Zishang in surprise. This was a female bug. "That's right, I'm jealous. Don't forget that your entire body belongs to me." Zishang smiled very gently, and his voice was very pleasant to listen to. "Don't you have anything to report when I'm in seclusion?" Yi Jioga finally understood that there was a hidden meaning in Zishang's words. She carefully thought about all the things she had done during this period of time, and immediately remembered the drop of blood that had been swallowed by the fat black rat. "My king, I was wrong. I didn't think things would turn out like this." After Yi Jioga honestly explained what had happened, he took out the fat black rat from the bag and placed it in front of Zishang. "After it ate my drop of blood, it has been unconscious. Take a look and see what's going on. At least you know what's good for you." Zishang glanced at Yi Jioga and took the fat black rat. The fat black rat landed on Zishang's hand. Its eyes were still closed, but it could clearly feel the approaching danger. Its fat body shrunk even tighter, and it even seemed to be shivering. Zishang's palm did not move. A black light was emitted from his palm and enveloped the fat black rat. The fat black rat's black fur underwent a huge change. Its black fur turned into a light silver color, shining with a beautiful radiance. The surface was covered with golden veins, like ripples on the surface of water. The most mystical thing was that there was a small golden flower bud on its head. "The day I picked it up, it looked like this," Yi Jioga hurriedly said. Zishang did not reply, but the black light in his hand became even hotter. The fat black rat's face revealed a painful expression. The flower bud on its head slowly bloomed, and the stamen of the flower flowed out a golden radiance that covered its entire body. The fat black rat actually turned into a baby with a flower on its head in the golden radiance. It was chubby, tender, and had delicate facial features. It was extremely cute. Yi Jioga forcefully blinked her eyes, thinking that she was seeing things. Very quickly, the black light in Zishang's palm disappeared, and the baby also disappeared, turning back into a fat black rat. "What's going on?" Yi Jioga was a little surprised and hurriedly asked, "Was that baby a rat that turned into a spirit, or a child wearing a rat skin?" "Neither." Zishang shook his head. "Was it an illusion?" Yi Jioga asked again. "Also not." Zishang still shook his head. "Then what was it?" Yi Jioga was anxious. How could there be a fat rat turning into a cute baby in this world? If she did not clarify this matter, how would she be able to order the fat black rat to spit saliva for her in the future? "We'll know when it wakes up." Zishang continued to shake his head. No matter how Yi Jioga asked, he would not say. "If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Anyway, this fat black rat is mine." Yi Jioga snatched the fat black rat from Zishang's hand and stuffed it back into the bag along with the pink caterpillar. At this time, the crown prince's excited shout came from outside the door. "What are you guys blocking here for? Quickly let Ben Gong in. If anything happens to Imperial Uncle, can you afford to pay for it?" Eldest Miss is inside helping Master Dongfang detoxify the poison. Unrelated people are not allowed to enter, Bai Songling replied coldly. Do you think this empress is an outsider? Are Elder Chen and Elder Xiao irrelevant people? The crown prince's voice was as sharp as a hen that had been strangled. He shouted hysterically at the door, Yi Joga, come out. How dare you call Eldest Miss by her name? Bai Songling was also angry. Seeing that the situation was about to get out of control, Yi Jioga was still calm. She reached out to feel Master Dongfang's pulse. Seeing that his pulse was stable and there were signs of him waking up at any time, she raised her voice and ordered Bai Songling, let them in. Chapter 210. Yes. Bai Songling glared at the crown prince before calling Luo Tian to the side. The crown prince snorted disdainfully and rushed in first. Elder Chen and Elder Xiao hurriedly followed him into the house. Yi Jioga sat on the chair with a smile. She was dressed in a sky-blue dress that made her look like a cloud blooming in the clear sky, ethereal and beautiful. Zi Shang stood quietly behind her. His eyelids were slightly drooping, as if he was asleep. As soon as the crown prince entered, he angrily pointed at Yi Jioga's nose and shouted preemptively, Yi Jioga, how dare you block us outside? Do you want to do something to uncle? Yi Jioga didn't say anything. Even the smile on his face didn't change. Zi Shang raised his eyes slightly and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He raised his hand and shot a purple light at the crown prince. The crown prince screamed and was sent flying. He hung upside down on a tree. Speak human language when you come in. Don't scare Master Dongfang. Yi Jioga's voice was gentle and dignified as if she didn't know that her guards had pulled the crown prince out. Young mistress is right. Elder Chen and Elder Xiao didn't dare to offend Yi Jioga. They nodded and didn't dare to look at the crown prince. Young mistress, is the poison in Master Dongfang's body cured? Elder Chen asked respectfully. Fortunately, I didn't fail you. As soon as Yi Jioga's voice fell, Dongfang Yao's fingers moved slightly. His eyelids twitched and he finally opened his eyes. City Lord, you're finally awake. Elder Xiao hurried over to help him up. He was so excited that tears were about to flow. Dongfang Yao raised his hand to stop the agitated Elder Xiao. He slowly sat up on the bed and lifted the quilt to get out of bed. City Lord, you've just recovered. You should rest for a while. Elder Chen said anxiously. I'm fine now. Where are Dongfang Jianming and Zhang Peng? Dongfang Yao's complexion was somewhat pale, but the sharp glint in his eyes was like a cold wind blowing past an iceberg, causing one's heart to shiver. The crown prince is outside. Zhang Peng seems to be busy with the alchemy pavilion. I haven't seen him for a long time. Elder Chen replied carefully. Get someone to catch Zhang Peng immediately. Dongfang Yao ordered. Yes. Elder Chen ordered without hesitation. Then, Dongfang Yao coldly ordered, 2 more men, bring that bastard Dongfang Jianming in. Capture? Elder Chen was shocked and exchanged a glance with Elder Xiao. Dongfang Jianming was the crown prince. It didn't matter if he scolded him, but if he was caught, it would be a big deal. Therefore, neither of them dared to make a move. I've been sick for a while, so my words don't matter anymore, right? Dongfang Yao's voice wasn't loud, but his aura was very strong. This subordinate wouldn't dare. Old Chin shivered and immediately turned around to instruct the guards of the concoction pavilion, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and take down the crown prince. Yes. The guard of the concocting medicine pavilion did not dare to ask any more questions. He immediately grabbed the crown prince, who was hanging on the tree, and brought him inside. Imperial uncle, what are you doing? The crown prince was greatly shocked and roared at Yi Jioga, did you use an evil technique on Imperial uncle to have him deal with me? Shut up. Dongfang Yao abruptly picked up the teacup on the table and viciously threw it at the crown prince. There was a bang. The teacup splashed on the crown prince's face, leaving a bruise full of blood. Dongfang Jianming, you're a heartless beast. You dare to collude with evil cultivators to murder Miss Yi. You didn't even spare this old man. You deserve to die 10,000 times over. Dongfang Yao gnashed his teeth and cursed. Imperial uncle, I didn't. The crown prince shook his head like a windmill. You still dare to quibble at this point? These past few days, Su Junqing and Xiong Yun who have been talking about your good deeds at my bedside. Dongfang Yao's words scared the crown prince and made him pale. The crown prince's body softened as he knelt on the ground, wailing and begging. Imperial uncle, I'm wronged. Su Junqing falsely accused me. You don't have to say any more. Our Dongfang family doesn't have a cruel and unscrupulous beast like you. Come, take Dongfang Jianming to the prison and send him back to the capital. After Dongfang Yao said this, he seemed to have aged 10 years. Although he didn't like this nephew, he was still heartbroken to be murdered by him and his disciples. Imperial uncle, I was forced. It was Su Junqing who cast an evil spell on me. I'm innocent. Dongfang Jianming screamed and struggled desperately. The guards didn't dare to approach him. What are you waiting for? Do you want me to do it myself? Dongfang Yao angrily said. The guards didn't dare to hesitate and quickly dragged Dongfang Jianming away. And that Su Junqing, where did he go? Dongfang Yao asked again. Su Junqing went to Red Clay Valley to dig up Lu Yunfei's corpse. Yi Jiuge replied. Immediately send someone to find him. We absolutely can't let him escape. Dongfang Yao hated Su Junqing the most now. I'll go. Bai Songling took the initiative to stand out. I'll go too. You said. The blood feud between him and Su Junqing was absolutely irreconcilable. If he didn't catch Su Junqing himself, his heart wouldn't be reconciled. Yi Jiuge said, Yiyu, take some people to Red Clay Valley. Big Brother Bai, immediately send a message back and tell them to keep an eye on the Su clan. There was such a big commotion in the city last night, I'm worried that Su Junqing might have escaped. Okay, I'll do it right away. Yi Yu and Bai Songling replied in unison. Bai Songling decided to return to the capital overnight to personally keep an eye on the Su clan. Young Lady Yi is truly thoughtful. Dongfang Yao sighed. After this incident, he finally realized that Alchemy City didn't have enough time to deal with such sudden incidents. This gave the heretical cultivators an opportunity. Yi Jiuge quickly advised, Grandmaster Dongfang is overpraising me. Your body has just recovered, you should rest well. I'm not tired. If young lady has time, can you accompany this old man to see Zijuan? Dongfang Yao was very polite towards Yi Jiuge. He even changed the way he addressed her from little girl to young lady. I also want to see Senior Li. Yi Jiuge and Grandmaster Dongfang went to see Li Zijuan. Although Li Zijuan was also poisoned, it was nothing compared to the royal poison in Grandmaster Dongfang's body. The reason why he didn't wake up for so long was because everyone was busy saving Grandmaster Dongfang. No one paid attention to him. Grandmaster Dongfang personally concocted an antidote for Li Zijuan and poured it down his throat. He quickly woke up. Li Zijuan struggled to get up and said, Master, it was Zhang Peng who poisoned us. I know it was him. Dongfang Yao pressed Li Zijuan down and said, Elder Chen's group has already sent people to capture him. He won't be able to escape for long. Master, this disciple really doesn't understand. You treated Zhang Peng so well and even let him manage the alchemy pavilion. Why would he poison us? Li Zijuan had a sad expression. Being stabbed by one's own people was the most painful thing. What else could it be? In the end, it's all about benefits. Dongfang Yao sighed and said to Li Zijuan, We need to learn from this lesson. Li Zijuan nodded and began to reflect on his mistake. Yi Jiuge was bored to the side and wanted to find an excuse to leave. At this time, Luo Tian came in and reported to Yi Jiuge, Young lady, fourth lady is outside and wishes to see you. Chapter 211. Fourth sister, why are you here? Yi Jiuge was a bit confused. He got up and said to Master Dongfang, My sister might be looking for me. I'll go out and take a look. Eldest miss, please go ahead. Dongfang Yao said politely. I'll probably be staying in the alchemy pavilion for a while. If Master needs anything, feel free to come find me. Yi Jiuge got up and said goodbye before going to see Yi Rui. Yi Rui stood ramrod straight in the garden outside. Her small body wrapped in a black dress made her look even more petite. The spring scenery in the garden could not alleviate the hostility on her small face. Seeing Yi Jioge come out, her eyes curved and she revealed a cute smile. She shouted, "Big sister. Why you here? I was going to see you later." Yi Jioge held Yi Rui's hand and looked at her carefully. He said with some heartache, "You've lost weight. It's been hard on you." "It's not hard on me, it's big sister." Yi Rui obediently shook her head and said, "Big sister, I'm here to say goodbye. I'll be going back to Shangjing with father later." "You don't need to go back to Shangjing with them. Once I'm done here, you can come back with me. You don't need to return to the Yi mansion anymore." Yi Jioge came out to set up his own house and planned to take Yi Rui with him. Unexpectedly, Yi Rui shook her head and said apologetically, "Sorry big sister, I want to go with father." "Fourth sister, there's something you might not know." Yi Jioge paused, sighed and said, "Your mother passed away a few days ago." "I know. Mother was killed by Madam." Yi Rui said calmly. "Then you still want to go back with them?" Yi Jioge suddenly found that he couldn't understand this little sister. The death of a mother should be the most painful thing in the world, but she was strangely calm. "Because of this, I want to go back with them." Su Junqing ran away, the crown prince was captured, and Su Yufeng and Yi Shanshan lost their support. "At this time, I have to stay by father's side. Only then can I get revenge for my mother." Yi Rui's calm voice hid a strange and gloomy undercurrent. It was inexplicably frightening. "You're still young, you don't need to worry about revenge. Leave it to me." Yi Jioge didn't want Yi Rui to stain her hands with blood at such a young age. "Big sister, you've already helped me a lot. I have to get revenge for my mother myself." Yi Rui revealed a faint smile. He bowed to Yi Jioge and left without looking back. His short and thin body exuded an indescribable determination. Yi Jioge sighed. When he returned to his room, he was still worried about Yi Rui. Yi Jioge sighed. When he returned to his room, he was still a bit worried. "Don't talk nonsense. She's still young." Yi Jioge frowned. It was already hard enough for her to have a bewitching man as her creditor. She didn't want to have another demoness as her younger sister. "That's not up to you." Zishang shrugged. He would never tell Yi Jioge that Yi Rui had already become a little obsessed. With me around, even if she enters the demonic sea, I will pull her out." Yi Jioge rolled his eyes at Zishang. She didn't believe that Yi Rui would become a demonic cultivator at such a young age. She didn't expect that Yi Jioge would suddenly move to Yi Jioge's side. He pretended to be wronged and said, "Little heartless. You only want to help your sister. Why don't you help me?" "Help you what?" Yi Jioge was confused. "Right now, I'm floating in the sea of desire. I'm just waiting for you to help me." Zishang said matter-of-factly. He didn't forget to give Yi Jioge a flirtatious look, driving at the slightest disagreement. "Do you really think your sister is easy to bully?" Without hesitation, Yi Jioge elbowed him back and said, "Scram. TSK, you little violent." Zishang quickly dodged Yi Jioge's attack. "If there's a next time, it won't be like this." Yi Jioge narrowed his eyes and said threateningly. If Zishang was standing in front of her, she would definitely kick him in the groin. "The next time will be a month later." Zishang scanned Yi Jioge's slightly flat figure and said suggestively, "Then you have to work hard. Don't disappoint me." "Don't eat it if you're disappointed." Yi Jioge suddenly felt that flat-chested was pretty good. If Zishang was hoping that her red bean pie would turn into a cream cake in a month's time, then she should just wash up and sleep. This won't do. Zishang seemed to have thought of something. He suddenly reached out and grabbed Yi Jioge's red bean pie and said seriously, "You have to rub it more from now on." Yi Jioge expressionlessly lowered his head and looked at Zishang's big hand. Then, without hesitation, he reached his hand down and said coldly and heartlessly, "If you have the ability, then let's rub it together." She was throwing caution to the wind. Zishang once again dodged Yi Jioge's unexpected attack. Then, he looked at Yi Jioge with an expression that said, "I'm serious. Otherwise, do you think that with your small body, you can withstand me?" Yi Jioge frowned. He suddenly thought of a terrifying thing and blurted out, "Don't tell me that you have two big sticks in your human form." Before Zishang could reply, Yijioga thought of an even more terrifying thing. "Could it be that you want to use your original form? *CK. You beast." Yijioga rejected beasts thousands of times. "What are you thinking?" Zishang felt that he couldn't keep up with Yijioga's unrestrained thoughts. Seeing that Zishang didn't have that thought, Yijioga heaved a sigh of relief. "I didn't expect little Jioga to have such a heavy taste." Zishang squinted his eyes. His eyes flashed with a dangerous light as he said slowly, "Original form, right? I will let you be satisfied one day." However, the previous half-human half-snake was not his complete form. If little Jioga saw his true form, he would probably be shocked. "No need, I'm already satisfied." Yijioga shook his head decisively. As she said that, she felt that something was wrong. Why did she feel like she was thirsting for Zishang's human form? "All right, little Jioga, you don't have to say what you mean. I understand." Zishang winked at Yijioga with his peach blossom eyes. Yijioga continued to be expressionless. Just as she was thinking about how to suppress this arrogant guy, Zishang put away his playful look and said seriously, "I want your vital yin, not to use you as a cultivation furnace. Although the meridians in your body have been cleared, the 9 poison bone shattering is still in your dantian. If you can't open up a dual cultivation channel in advance, your dantian will explode." Hearing this, Yijioga understood. Zishang didn't sleep with her for free. He gave her benefits. Not only could this benefit greatly increase her cultivation, it could also strengthen her dantian and prevent the 9 poison bone shattering from spreading. Although the 9 poison bone shattering did not explode, Yijioga understood that it was a time bomb. Once her cultivation increased, it would explode. "Tell me what to do. I will listen to you." Yijioga nodded seriously. This matter couldn't be underestimated. "Now, strip and lie on the bed," Zishang said in a more serious tone. Chapter 212. I'll take it off. Yijioga was ready to risk everything this time. She grabbed the belt with both hands and started to take it off boldly. She was so open that Zishang felt a little scared. Could it be that he had gone too far and had driven this lass crazy instead? Thinking of this, Zishang couldn't help coughing and said seriously, "Since this is your first experience, it's fine if you don't take it off. Lie down." Yijioga didn't say much about Zishang's unfaithful attitude. She quickly lay down. "Close your eyes and feel it." Zishang covered Yijioga's eyes with his slightly cold hands. In the darkness, Yijioga could only smell a faint fragrance coming from Zishang's body. Unlike the gentleness of a woman, this fragrance was even more invasive. It made one feel a little thirsty, as if they were bathing in fire. Yijioga resisted the urge to lick her lips and quickly corrected her attitude. Even if she wanted to be horny, it couldn't be now. This might be Zishang's conspiracy. She had to resist the temptation. Yijioga calmed down and closed her eyes to feel Zishang's next action. The pair of big hands first put 3 inches below her navel and gently rubbed it. The strength was moderate and very comfortable. Then slowly he pressed those acupuncture points regularly. It was sore and swollen, but after the sourness passed, it was comfortable. When Yijioga was so comfortable that she almost fell asleep, Zishang's hands gradually came to the acupuncture point on her chest. Suddenly, a sharp pain rushed to her head. Yijioga's body bounced up like a fish on the shore, but Zishang pressed her down hard. "Bear it." Zishang's voice was not flirting at all, but unprecedentedly serious. It was the first time that Yijioga saw such an attitude from Zishang. She gritted her teeth and endured it. Zishang's hands were glowing with a faint black and purple light. He pinched Yijioga's chest as if he was kneading dough. Yijioga's face was a little twisted. She only felt that those acupuncture points were sore and swollen as if they were bitten by ants. It was so uncomfortable that her toes couldn't help curling up. Although the whole process didn't last long, Yijioga broke out in a cold sweat and her back was wet. Her messy black hair was wet with sweat and stuck to her pale forehead. She looked very embarrassed and weak. "Are you all right?" Zishang didn't expect Yi Jiuge to have such a big reaction. "How long do I have to press this?" Yi Jiuge lay on the bed like a dead fish. Although the process was very painful, she had to admit that after Zishang rubbed her chest like this, her breathing became much smoother. "Your qi and blood are very stagnant. You have to clear them once a day. However, the first time will be more painful, but it will be fine in the future." Zishang didn't tease Yi Jiuge this time. Instead, he gently wiped her sweat with a soft towel. Yi Jiuge nodded. As long as it was useful, she would endure it no matter how painful it was. "Do you want to rest?" Zishang asked. "No need." Although she was very tired, now was not the time to rest. Alchemy City still had many things to do. Yi Jiuge took out the storage bag that he got from Lu Yunfei and took out a piece of human skin. It was Gong Hongyu's skin. Zishang immediately understood Yi Jiuge's intentions. "Are you going to give it to Gong Honglei?" "That's right. I have to give him a chance to take revenge." Yi Jiuge smiled meaningfully. She took the skin and went to find Gong Honglei. Gong Honglei had been healing in the alchemy pavilion. When he saw Yi Jiuge, he couldn't help but feel embarrassed, guilty, and remorseful. He stiffly greeted her. "Miss Yi, please sit." "Young Master Gong, there is no need to be so polite. I came today to give you something," Yi Jiuge said without beating around the bush. "What is it?" Gong Honglei frowned. He suddenly felt that something was strange. Yi Jiuge placed the blue bag in front of Gong Honglei. Gong Honglei's face paled. He seemed to have sensed something. His fingers that were opening the bag trembled violently. He couldn't untie the small knot for a long time. As a swordsman, shaking hands was something that should never happen to him. Yi Jiuge sighed, but he didn't help. He just sat to the side and quietly waited. In the end, Gong Honglei opened the bag. A white human skin lay quietly on the soft cloth. The head was facing him. There was a small black mole on the cheek. Gong Honglei felt as if he was struck by lightning. His heart ached and his eyes turned red. He couldn't help but cry. A man doesn't cry easily. It's only when he's deeply hurt. Gong Honglei's parents died early. Only he and his sister Gong Hongyu were left. At that time, they were still young and weren't valued by their family. Their early years were very difficult. It wasn't until he revealed his sword cultivation talent at the age of 10 and entered the Limitless Sword Pavilion as an inner disciple that his sister's status rose. Maybe it was because she was bullied in her early years, but his sister's personality became more and more arrogant. Because he loved his sister, he always protected her. He always felt that although his sister was a little willful, she wasn't an evil person. He didn't expect her to die a horrible death. "The dead are dead. Young Master Gong, please restrain your grief." Yi Jiuge knew that this sentence was very weak. However, he couldn't find any other words to comfort him. Gong Honglei quickly adjusted his mood. After he carefully put away his sister's human skin, he solemnly cupped his hands and bowed deeply. "Miss Yi, I was too reckless before. That's why I listened to the slanderous slander and misunderstood you. Please forgive me, Miss Yi." "No problem." Seeing that Gong Honglei was willing to admit his mistake, Yi Jiuge's impression of him slightly changed. "Thank you." Gong Honglei stood up and suddenly said, "I plan to take action tomorrow and go to the Su family in Shangjing." Yi Jiuge frowned. It seemed that Gong Honglei had already heard the news of Su Junqing's escape. She pondered for a moment before shaking her head. "Su Junqing is sinister and cunning. I don't think he will return to the Su family at this time. If young Master Gong wants revenge, I have a suggestion." "Miss Yi, please speak," Gong Honglei solemnly said. "His Highness the Crown Prince is also one of the masterminds. Wan Darren was ordered to secretly bring him back to Shangjing. If young Master Gong directly goes to the Emperor to seek justice, I believe the Emperor won't dare to protect the Crown Prince." Yi Jiuge said it lightly, but if the Crown Prince heard it, he would definitely go crazy. This was his last chance of survival. "All right, I'll go back to Shangjing with Wan Darren." Gong Honglei had long suspected the Crown Prince, so he agreed without hesitation. Young Master Gong is wise. I'm sure Miss Gong's spirit in heaven will feel gratified. It's getting late, goodbye. Yi Jioga and Gong Honglei exchanged a few more pleasantries before leaving his courtyard. Then, she handed the spiritual roots of blood, flesh, and human skin in Lu Yunfei's Qiankuan bag to Li Zijuan. Just when Yi Jioga was busy, Dong Fang Yao secretly wrote a letter to Emperor Xian. Chapter 213. Dong Fang Yao explained the ins and outs of the matter in the letter, and then strongly requested Emperor Xian to punish the little bastard, Dong Fang Jianming. Finally, he mentioned that the Yunwei Sea had sent a great expert called Yi Zi to protect Yi Jioga. He also asked Emperor Xian Wu to rope in this great expert at all costs. Thunder Country's Shangjing, Pure Purity Palace. After reading Dong Fang Yao's letter, Emperor Xian Wu sat motionlessly on his throne with a dark expression on his face. The chief eunuch, Li Fud, was waiting on the side. His heart was beating rapidly, and he didn't even dare to breathe heavily. Ever since Gong Honglei forced the crown prince back to the capital and demanded that they give the Gong family an explanation, the emperor's face hadn't been clear for a single day. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside, as if someone was arguing outside. Li Fud panicked and wished he could go out and beat the guards and eunuchs to death. Didn't he know what time it was now? He actually dared to make such a fuss. "Let's go out and take a look," said Emperor Xian Wu with his eyes closed. "Yes." Li Fud wiped his cold sweat and went out. When he came back, his face was even paler. He said in a low voice, "The Empress is outside asking to see you. Didn't I tell her to stay in the Fengyi Palace? Why is she here?" Emperor Xian glanced at Li Fud and asked, "It's this old servant's arrangements that were not good. Your Majesty, please punish me." Li Fud immediately knelt down in fear and trepidation. Actually, it could not be said that his arrangements were unfavorable. Although the crown prince had been placed under house arrest, Emperor Xian did not dare to announce that he had colluded with an evil cultivator. Instead, he had been looking for a suitable accusation. He did not strip the empress of her title, only placing her under house arrest in Fengyi Palace, having a few palace maids and eunuchs watch over her. Normally, these palace maids and eunuchs would be enough. Nevertheless, the empress was a spiritualist, after all. She had been nourished by various spiritual pills all these years, so her cultivation base was still there. After the incident with the crown prince, she had been asking to see the emperor. Seeing that no one was paying attention to her, she actually dashed out of the Fengyi Palace like a madman. Only when the palace maids and eunuchs chased after her did she let out an uproar. Take her back and feed her some spirit-dispersing pills. As for those trash from the Phoenix Ritual Palace, do as you see fit. Emperor Xian Wu closed his eyes again as if he did not know that the spirit-dispersing pill was fatal to a spiritualist. When Li Fud heard this, he knew that the emperor really had no feelings for the empress. He quickly went out to give the order, and the noise soon stopped. The once glorious empress was dragged back to the Fengyi Palace and forced to drink a spirit-dispersing pill. In the future, it would be difficult for her to even walk, much less come out to cause trouble. Li Fud quickly returned. He bowed beside Emperor Xian Wu, not even daring to breathe loudly. The entire Palace of Purity was as quiet as a graveyard. Emperor Xian Wu closed his eyes and casually asked, "How's the situation with the Su family?" Li Fud's cold sweat broke out even more. He braced himself and said, "Elder Su is still in a coma. Su Junqing didn't come back." Emperor Xian Wu's expression did not change. He opened his eyes and his sharp gaze fell on the letter that Dong Fang Yao had sent. After a moment of silence, he suddenly asked, "What's going on with this Yi Jioga?" "I don't know either, but I heard that the imperial consort and Prince Dongling are friends with Miss Yi," Li Fud replied carefully. Although he didn't get to see Dong Fang Yao's letter, everyone knew about the recent events in Alchemy City. Yi Jioga went from an unforgivable evil cultivator leader to a hero who fought against evil cultivators and saved Alchemy City. This reversal caused an uproar in the entire Thunder Country. Especially when Yi Yuxuan made a statement to support the daughter he chased out of the family and begged for her to change her mind, it made people believe that this was a misunderstanding. In a short period of time, Yi Jiuge's reputation reached its peak. Imperial consort Shi and Dongfang Ke being friends with her was definitely a great thing for the Dongfang family, whose reputation was in jeopardy. There is still farsighted. Emperor Xian Wu sighed. He had already made a decision. Li Fu saw the emperor's expression and knew that the sky in the capital was about to change. At this time, Yi Jiuge had finished her business in Alchemy City and planned to return to the capital. She didn't expect Dongfang Yao to suddenly announce that she was the champion of the competition and give her the 10,000 gold cauldron. The competition isn't over yet. I don't deserve this award. Yi Jiuge shook her head. No matter how greedy she was, she wouldn't accept such a thing. This was decided by the participating alchemists. If it wasn't for the interruption of the competition, you would have been the champion. Dongfang Yao was speaking the truth. Among the participants, no one's alchemy skills were better than Yi Jiuge's. Yi Jiuge refused in every way possible, but Dongfang Yao insisted on his own opinion. He even said that the cauldron was already Yi Jiuge's and that if she didn't want it, he would just throw it away. Yi Jiuge had no choice but to accept. She converted the cauldron into silver and divided it equally among the family members of the alchemists who were killed by the evil cultivator. Dongfang Yao praised her. He also converted the other prizes prepared for the competition into silver and distributed them to the people who were accidentally injured by the evil cultivator. These were originally Yi Jiuge's unintentional actions, but she didn't expect them to bring her righteous reputation. Even the damaged image of Alchemy City was restored. Just as Yi Jiuge was preparing to return to the capital, Bai Songling sent a letter. Why did Elder Su suddenly disappear? Yi Jiuge looked at Zi Shang in confusion after reading the letter. Could it be that there was a problem with his demon energy seal? Zi Shang shook his head. Without him personally removing the seal, the old man wouldn't wake up. Could it be that Su Junqing saved his grandfather? Luo Tian asked from the side. Impossible. Elder Su is a burden right now. Su Junqing won't gain anything by taking him away, unless Su Junqing has other uses. Yi Jiuge's expression changed when he thought of this possibility. Luo Tian also thought of this possibility and asked in shock, "You mean Su Junqing wants to use his grandfather to cultivate?" Although Bloodthirst sect used human blood to cultivate, it was still rare to see beasts who used their own family members to cultivate. It's very possible. Yi Jiuge's heart sank. During this time, Su Junqing had searched for all kinds of spirit doctors, but none of them could cure the old man's strange illness. It was normal for him to want to use the old man as trash. Su Junqing has always been ruthless. It's not strange for him to do something like this. Yi Yu gritted his teeth. Back then, when his sister, Yi Yunji, was pregnant with Su Junqing's child, he was the one who personally gave it to the Bloodthirst sect. Send a letter back. We must find Su Junqing. We can't let him take Elder Su back to Bloodthirst sect, Yi Jiuge said seriously. Yi Jiuge said solemnly, if Bloodthirsty Ancestor ate Old Man Su, he might really succeed in leveling up. That would be very bad. Chapter 214. Song Ling and Ziyang have sent people to find him. But Shangjing's security is so tight that Su Junqing managed to find a loophole. It'll be harder to catch him now. Luo Tian wasn't optimistic. Yi Jiuge thought for a while and asked Luo Tian, "Can you raise a parasite that can track evil energy?" "I can't. Only the young master can raise parasites. But he's in seclusion right now. He'll probably come out in 2 days." Luo Tian shook his head. Bloodthirsty's blood essence wasn't that easy to refine. Wait for him here. When he comes out, ask him to raise the tracking parasite. Yi Jiuge quickly made up his mind and said, "We'll return to Shangjing first." Luo Tian nodded and decided to help the young master refine the blood essence faster. Blood Cloud Peak, 3,000 miles away from Shangjing. Bloodthirsty's ancestor was sleeping on a big redwood bed with his eyes closed. for beautiful and graceful blood slaves dressed in thin gauze surrounded him and served him. 2 beautiful and charming blood slaves gently massaged his legs. The other 2 older blood slaves were holding heavy feather fans to fan forefather Bloodthirsty. The blood slave on the left had a red mole between her eyebrows. She was Yi Yu's sister, Yunji. Recently, many young and beautiful blood slaves had come. The ancestor quickly got tired of her. If Lu Yunfei hadn't asked for her skin before she left, she would have been sent to the blood cave to become a cauldron. Today, she had earned the right to fan and serve him because of her obedient behavior. The cave was silent except for the sound of the fans flapping in the wind. Bloodthirsty's ancestor closed his eyes. His wrinkled face looked like a shrunken orange. Suddenly, he opened his eyes, and a sinister light shot out from them. Ancestor? The 2 blood slaves massaging his legs lifted their heads in confusion. They didn't expect Bloodthirsty to kick them. With a loud bang, the 2 blood thralls were torn into pieces, flesh and blood splattering everywhere. Yi Yunji knelt on the ground immediately, not daring to say a word. Ancestor, spare me, the other blood slave begged for mercy with tears on her face. The gauze on her body slid down, revealing a large area of her white skin. She looked very seductive. Bloodthirsty forefather didn't even look at her because he was so mad. His lifeblood essence had actually been refined by someone else. This was absolutely a great humiliation to him. At this time, the thin monkey-like man came in a panic and reported, "Old ancestor, it's not good. Senior brother Xiong's soul lamp has also extinguished." A bunch of trash. Bloodthirsty's forefather was so enraged that he slapped the charming blood slave to death. Yi Yunji crouched even lower and gave Skinny Monkey a pitiful look. The thin monkey-like man recognized that Yi Yunji wasn't in a good situation. He hurried to talk to Bloodthirsty's forefather. Forefather, although senior brother Xiong is dead, Su Junqing's soul lamp is still lit. When Yi Yunji heard that Su Junqing was still alive, her eyes immediately emitted an extremely resentful light. She didn't expect that the heartless man was still alive. This was for the best. One day, she would dismember Su Junqing's body into 1,000 pieces. Yi Yunji pressed her forehead to the ground and used all her strength to suppress her excitement. Everyone else is dead, only he is still alive. He is quite powerful. As expected, Bloodthirsty's forefather shifted his attention. He squinted and asked, "Are there any of our people in Shangjing?" "Forefather, there is 1 in the Yi mansion and 2 in the palace," the thin monkey-like man answered respectfully. "How come there are only a few people? What can 3 accomplish?" Bloodthirsty's forefather frowned. The wrinkles between his brows were so deep that they looked like they were carved by a knife. "Forefather, you are wise. Right now, the people in Shangjing are all experienced. We can use them," the thin monkey-like man said carefully. "Okay," Bloodthirsty's forefather nodded and ordered, "Send someone to Shangjing. Tell them to investigate the truth. Be especially careful of that kid Su Junqing." Bloodthirsty's forefather paused and then quickly changed his words. "No, if you see him, bring him back immediately. I want to interrogate him personally." "Yes," the thin monkey-like man exhaled in relief. This time, 3 people died in this mission. All of them were experts of the sect. Right now, everyone in the sect was in danger. No one dared to make a sound as they were afraid of being sent out. Fortunately, the forefather didn't say anything. "All of you can leave." Bloodthirsty's forefather waved his hand tiredly. When the thin monkey-like man bowed and retreated, he imperceptibly waved his hand at Yi Yunji. Yi Yunji also quietly retreated with the thin monkey-like man. After leaving the forefather's cave mansion, the thin monkey-like man finally exhaled in relief. He wiped his sweat and said to Yi Yunji with relief, "I thought that arranging for you to fan the forefather would be a good job. I didn't think that this would be a disaster. You're lucky." "Thank you, brother Thin Monkey. Otherwise, I would have died today." Yi Yunji's pretty face was full of gratitude. "There's no need to thank me between us." The thin monkey-like man lowered his voice. The skinny monkey-like man lowered his voice and said, "The sect isn't peaceful right now. so be careful during this period of time. Stay within the Flower Palace and try your best not to come out. I'll help you clear the way, and I won't make you serve the ancestor in the near future. I will listen to you, brother Thin Monkey. Yi Yunji's voice was even softer. Her voice was very pleasant. It wasn't sweet or sticky, but it was clear and cold. Coupled with her gentle expression, it made people's hearts itch. When I become a rank 2 blood guard, I will ask the forefather for a favor. I will ask him to reward you to me. At that time, you won't have to be afraid anymore. The thin monkey-like man looked at Yi Yunji's thin face with heartache and said softly, "Before that, you have to endure it. As long as I'm not sent to the blood cave, I can endure anything." Yi Yunji's pretty face flashed with fear. Her fragile appearance was even more pitiful. "Don't worry, I won't let you be sent to that filthy blood cave." The thin monkey-like man saw that the little beauty was still scared, so he lowered his voice and said, "The forefather's plan to kill Grandmaster Dongfang has failed. He's not in the mood to do that. Don't worry." "Really?" Yi Yunji blinked her big eyes and looked at the thin monkey-like man for help. "Of course it's true. Old Jiang, Old Xiong, and Lu Yunfei failed their mission and died in Alchemy City. The Spiritualist Union will definitely come to deal with us. But don't worry, as long as the forefather is here, no one will want to go near Blood Cloud Peak." The thin monkey-like man looked left and right before taking out a blood pill from his belt and putting it in Yi Yunji's hand. He said softly, "Take this blood pill in secret. Don't let anyone find out. Alright, I won't say any more. Hurry back to Flower Palace. Brother Thin Monkey, you must be careful too. Don't make me worry." Yi Yunji said reluctantly. "Don't worry, I will definitely be fine." The thin monkey-like man kept urging Yi Yunji to leave. He looked at Yi Yunji's graceful back and revealed a silly smile. He had been by the forefather's side for so many years and had seen many beautiful blood thralls. However, Yi Yunji was the only one that made him feel different. He liked Yi Yunji's voice the most when she told him to be careful. It would make his heart feel warm. In order to keep this feeling, he had to cultivate harder. He had to save Yi Yunji before the forefather destroyed her. Chapter 215. Bloodthirsty Sect's dark passageways had only 2 oil lamps at the top of the cave at the corner, flickering with a dim light. Yi Yunji tried her best to hide in the shadows and silently walked toward 100 Flower Palace. After passing through a passageway, she met a few bloodthirsty sect disciples who had just returned from training. All of them looked at her curvaceous body under the red chiffon with lewd and explicit eyes. Yi Yunji turned a blind eye to this and continued walking forward. The forefather was very protective of his food. The blood slaves of 100 Flower Palace all had blood soul flowers. The fragrance of this blood soul flower was very special and easy to stick to. Anyone who dared to touch the forefather's blood slaves would be stained with the smell of the blood soul flower and die a horrible death. However, the forefather always liked the new and hated the old. After he was tired of playing, he would pull out the blood soul flower and throw the dead blood slaves into the blood cave for others to enjoy. The disciples had coveted Yi Yunji for a long time and laughed. "This blood slave has been with the forefather for a long time, she must be very good in bed. The forefather got tired of her a long time ago. If he didn't promise to give her skin to Lu Yunfei, she would have been sent to the blood cave long ago. Little beauty, I advise you to learn how to sleep with 100 men in one night. Us brothers can't wait. 100 men isn't enough. I heard someone brought a blood beast and wants to merge with it to taste her. Fuck, the women they've played with are all rotten. What are we going to do?" "Don't worry. They're definitely staying behind to reserve the place." That's more like it." Yi Yunji ignored the malicious words of the bloodthirsty sect disciples and quickened her pace back to 100 Flower Palace. The 100 Flowers Palace sounded very beautiful, but it was actually just a slightly larger cave. Long and narrow chambers were chiseled on top and hung a broken curtain to form their residence. Hearing the sound of Yi Yunji's return, pale faces popped out from behind the broken curtain of the small chamber. The blood slaves here were all women with spirit energy. bloodthirsty sect's forefather had planted blood-soul flowers on them, and all of their spirit energy had melted into their blood. This blood-soul flower was very magical. It would form a protective light around their bodies, making them invulnerable to weapons and poisons. It was impossible for them to commit suicide. Bloodthirsty sect's forefather was extremely cruel to those who wanted to commit suicide. The new blood slaves had seen it a few times and no longer wanted to commit suicide. They could only silently wait for death. Yi Yunji was the oldest and lived in the highest chamber. Following the rope that had fallen from the side, she stepped on the steps that were carved out of the cave wall and climbed up to her own cave. The chamber was very narrow and could only allow one person to turn around. Apart from a thin bedding, there was nothing else inside. She had nothing inside except for a thin mattress. Of the room, after making sure that no one was paying attention, she took out the blood pill that Skinny Monkey had given her. This blood pill was a pill unique to the bloodthirsty sect. It was refined using various medicinal herbs mixed with blood essence, and it could increase the cultivation of the bloodthirsty sect disciples. Forefather Bloodthirsty often sucked the blood of the blood slaves. After a long time, their faces became dry and dull. At this moment, they weren't far from the blood cave. Skinny sect couldn't save her, so he thought of this method. He wanted her to take a blood pill to preserve her appearance. At least, she wouldn't be thrown out by the forefather. Skinny sect didn't expect that Yi Yunji's Yi family cultivation method was a dark art. This blood pill could not only preserve her appearance, but also allow her to steal a lot of spirit energy from the blood soul flowers. Yi Yunji started to cultivate after swallowing the blood pill. Rays of light started from her dantian and grew stronger after passing through several large meridians. Finally, they entered the inside of her right arm and stopped moving. After Yi Yunji finished cultivating, she gently rubbed the inside of her right arm. There was a lot of light gathered there, enough for her to activate the Yi family's concealment technique and leave. But she wasn't in a hurry. She had learned about the internal routes of Blood Cloud Peak through Skinny Sect. Now, she just had to wait for the right opportunity. If possible, she hoped to teach Bloodthirsty Sect a painful lesson for the hardships she had suffered in the past few days. There was only one chance. She had to be more patient. Yi Yunji adjusted her breathing and continued to meditate. Thunder Country's Shangjing, East Main Street 19, an imposing mansion. Under the command of Mother Qing, the capital magistrate's soldiers were hanging the plaque Yi Mansion, bestowed by the emperor. It was such a good day, but Yi Jioga was in seclusion with Zishang. Although it was said to be seclusion, it was actually to avoid the warm hospitality of the great clans and the emperor. When Master Yun sent a top expert to guard Yi Jioga, the news had already spread throughout Thunder Country. Everyone was interested in this expert. They also wanted to build a good relationship with Yi Jioga, this independent spirit alchemist with a bright future. Invitations flew over like snowflakes. Even noble consort Shi and Dongfang Ke wanted to meet her in private. It was said that Emperor Xianwu had even drafted an imperial edict to summon her to the palace at any time. If Zishang was really a guard sent by his grandfather, Yi Jioga could bring him out for a walk. But this guy was a demon. A shameless demon that complained every day about not having enough demon energy and wanted to be kissed and touched. Yi Jioga didn't have the confidence to bring this guy out for a walk, much less bring him into the palace. There were still many experts in Shangjing. If she was accidentally seen through, then all her previous efforts would be wasted. So Yi Jioga decided to go all out. She used the excuse that she had a great enlightenment in cultivation to go into seclusion to break through. But this wasn't entirely an excuse. After experiencing a few traps in Alchemy City, she was fully aware that her martial strength wasn't enough. If Zishang hadn't woken up in time to kill Xiong Yunhu, everyone in the Alchemy Pavilion would have died. During this time, Zishang had been massaging her meridians. It really deepened her spirit energy and strengthened the white bone flame. So Zishang suggested that she use the white bone flame to nourish the Thunder Snake illusionary whip so that it could fuse better with the bone essence it obtained from the white bone cave. While Yi Jioga was in seclusion, the situation in Shangjing was turbulent. Because of Yi Jiuge's bad conduct, the crown prince was demoted to a commoner. It was said that he died not long after. The empress missed the crown prince too much. In her sorrow and despair, she actually committed suicide to follow him. A country couldn't be without a ruler. The crown prince was the same. So Emperor Xianwu announced to the world that Dongfang Ke would be the new crown prince and enter the East Palace. Originally, Emperor Xianwu wanted to make imperial consort Shi the empress. Unexpectedly, imperial consort Shi declined. Instead, she suggested that Dongfang Ke's birth mother, imperial noble consort Bai Linglong, be posthumously named the benevolent empress. Emperor Xianwu agreed. After Bai Linglong was posthumously named the benevolent empress, imperial noble consort, she was promoted to imperial noble consort. This news spread throughout the entire Thunder Country. Even though Yi Jiuge was in seclusion, she still heard about it. All of this was within her expectations. The crown prince and empress had brought about their own destruction. They could have cooperated with anyone, but they actually cooperated with evil cultivators. What she was worried about now was that she couldn't always be in seclusion. She had to think of a way to deal with those people who were inquiring about Zishang. Chapter 216. Yi Jiuge's table was piled up like a hill of invitations, but she didn't look at them. After thinking for a while, she had made a decision to go out and see imperial concubine Shi first. No, now she should call her imperial concubine Shi. Yi Jiuge felt that as a woman, it was better to go to see imperial concubine Shi first than to see Xianwu emperor directly. However, imperial concubine Shi was very popular now. She didn't know if there was any change compared to before. After Yi Jiuge decided, she went to the alchemy room to refine a bottle of beauty pills and prepared to go out. After being in seclusion for so many days, I can finally go out. Zishang stretched his body. Yi Jiuge was in seclusion, so he, as her personal guard, naturally had to come in and guide her. After going out, be honest and don't flirt with me. Yi Jiuge had a headache when she saw Zishang's evil appearance. She had suggested Zishang to change to an ordinary face before, but he didn't. Hee, how can those common flowers enter this sovereign's eyes? This sovereign loves you. Zishang hugged Yi Jiuge and kissed her on the face. After going out, be more respectful. Yi Jiuge looked indifferent and let him kiss her without moving. During this time, she had figured out a way to deal with Zishang. As long as she was ruthless, cold, and put down her bottom line, Zishang would restrain himself. Yes. Sure enough, when Zishang saw Yi Jiuge's indifferent face, he immediately became honest. Yi Jiuge opened the door and went out. She saw Pearl guarding outside. These days, Yu Dai and Pearl had been guarding outside, waiting for Yi Jiuge's orders. Has the plaque given by the emperor been hung up? What happened in the mansion recently? Yi Jiuge asked as she walked. Mother Qing has asked the people of the governor's office to hang it up. Pearl followed Yi Jiuge and reported what happened in the mansion. They left Yi Mansion to set up their own house. There were only maids and old women from Purple Forest Garden in the mansion. However, Yi Jiuge announced that she would go into seclusion at this time. Fortunately, Mother Qing had been in contact with the old servants of the Yun family these years. Relying on those old servants, Yi Mansion was finally supported. Even when the emperor sent someone to deliver the imperial plaque, it was Mother Qing who braced herself to receive it. Congratulations, young miss, for successfully advancing. A white-haired, serious-looking old man respectfully bowed to Yi Jiuge. This was also an old man from the Yun residence, Hu Zhenwei. Back then, Yun Tianwei had chosen this position for Yun Jiaojiao. His cultivation was profound and he was only one step away from becoming a spirit master. After Yun Jiaojiao died, Hu Zhenwei was sent out by Yi Yuxuan to carry out a mission. He didn't expect this mission to be a trap set up by his enemies. After he was plotted against, his cultivation base plummeted. Disheartened, he concealed his identity and lived in seclusion in the countryside. It was Mother Qing who personally picked him up. After Yi Jioge healed his internal injuries and restored his cultivation, he appointed him as the Yi residence's chief steward. After Yi Jioge went into seclusion, the Yi family was able to be so peaceful, and it was all thanks to Elder Hua. "Old Hua, please help me call Mother Qing, I have something to ask her," Yi Jioge politely ordered. "I'll go now." Elder Hua quickly brought Mother Qing over. "Has there been any movement from the Yi family recently?" Yi Jioge picked up the teacup and took a sip. Replying to eldest miss, after the Su family fell, the master did not like Su Yufeng and her mother very much. Some time ago, he used the excuse of sending Yi Shanshan to learn martial arts, but in fact, he gave her to the Danyang sect's Ling Yun ancestor as a concubine in exchange for a rank 5 spirit herb, purple cloud root. Mother Qing said with disdain, "I remember that Ling Yun ancestor is already more than 200 years old." Yi Jioge was a little surprised. Yi Shanshan was only 17 years old. It was too exaggerated to be a concubine for an old man who was her grandfather's age. "Don't you know the master's temper? There's nothing he can't do." Mother Qing sneered, her face full of disdain. Although she didn't like Yi Shanshan, a good virgin was taken by her own father to exchange for a spirit herb. This kind of behavior was despicable. Yi Jioge also sighed. Thinking about Yi Shanshan's arrogant and rude appearance, now she had to serve an old man. It was really not an ordinary kind of miserable. However, this was also what she deserved. Yi Jioge would not sympathize with her, so he changed the topic. "How is fourth sister now?" She was most concerned about this sister. Fourth miss is now very favored by the master, but she is a little too close to seventh concubine. When Mother Qing said this, she suddenly frowned. "Keep an eye on seventh concubine. If she has any unusual movements, immediately report to me." When she was in the Yi mansion, she had some doubts about the relationship between seventh concubine and the empress. Unfortunately, she did not find any evidence. Now that the empress had fallen, seventh concubine suddenly approached Yi Rui. Maybe she had some plans. "Eldest miss, rest assured. This old servant has already sent people to keep an eye on her." Mother Qing did not have any good impression of seventh concubine. She had already arranged for people to keep an eye on her. "Is there anything else in the mansion?" Yi Jioge asked again. She had just established her own family and immediately went into seclusion. Mother Qing was managing the mansion from top to bottom. There were still many things that she had not figured out. "Our mansion has a small population, so there is no big problem. It is just that there are people coming to visit the mansion every day." "Eldest miss, you can't just hide like this," Mother Qing said with a bitter face. In the past, she had always hoped that eldest miss could continue the glory of the Yun family and become the most famous noble lady in Shangjing. Now that she had achieved her goal, she was worried again. With so many people, it would be difficult to meet anyone. In the end, the one who was tired was her eldest miss. "Don't worry about those people. I am going to the palace to see Imperial Concubine Shi tomorrow. Help me wrap up this bottle of beauty pills." Yi Jioge took out a delicate white jade bottle from his Jianquan bag. Mother Qing took the white jade bottle and asked hesitantly, "Do you need to send a message to the palace?" It didn't seem very good to enter the palace without informing them. "No need, so as not to cause more trouble." Yi Jioge shook his head. She had the palace token left by Imperial Concubine Shi in her hand. She could enter at any time. "Then tomorrow, this old servant will accompany you," Mother Qing said and went to make arrangements. Yi Jioge rested for the night. The next morning, she took Mother Qing to the palace in a carriage to see the Imperial Concubine. The guard captain looked at her palace token and secretly looked at her a few times. He did not ask much and let her in. If it was in the past, even with this palace token, there would be a lot of questioning. But now, Yi Jioge had become famous because of the incident in Alchemy City. The guards in the palace recognized her and did not dare to offend her. Yi Jioge brought Mother Qing to Splendid Palace. From afar, she saw Aunt Hongxiu waiting at the door. She smiled and greeted, "Eldest miss, you didn't tell us in advance that you were going to enter the palace." This servant was shocked when I received the news. Chapter 217. I wanted to give you a surprise. Yi Jioge also smiled. This is indeed a big surprise. She was so happy that she wanted to come out and pick you up personally. Hong Xiu smiled. This is too much. Yi Jioge knew that Hong Xiu was joking, so he said a few words. Yi Jioge entered Splendid Palace and saw Imperial Concubine She standing in the palace. Although it was just a simple white dress, it didn't damage her imposing manner at all. She was unreachable like the clouds, completely worthy of her title of Imperial Concubine. When Imperial Concubine She saw Yi Jioge, she immediately greeted her with a smile. She held her hand and said, "Little heartless, you finally know to come see me first after coming out of seclusion." Yi Jioge heard Imperial Concubine She call herself I, and felt slightly relieved. It seemed that Imperial Concubine She hadn't changed yet. Imperial Concubine She took Yi Jioge's hand and sat down. A trace of guilt appeared on her beautiful face. "I'm really sorry about the plaque. I originally wanted the Emperor to name you Yun Mansion, but I didn't expect the Emperor." Imperial Concubine She sighed before finishing her words. When she learned that Yi Jioge was leaving Yi Mansion to set up her own house, she was sincerely happy for her. She wanted to ask the Emperor to name Yi Jioge Yun Mansion to support her. After all, Yi Jioge was the last bloodline of the Yun family and was also surnamed Yun. The Emperor didn't say anything at the time, but in the blink of an eye, he named Yi Mansion and sent it to Yi Jioge. She wanted to stop him, but it was too late. There's no difference between Yi Mansion and Yun Mansion. You don't need to take it to heart. Yi Jioge really didn't care. A name was just a title. If she had to change her name just to draw a line with Yi Yuxuan, it would be making a big fuss. No matter what, I didn't think this through. Imperial Concubine She let out a long sigh. If Yi Jioge hadn't helped her detoxify, she would still be living a miserable life in the Imperial Temple. How could she have the glory she had today, let alone push down the Empress and Crown Prince? If you feel bad, then accept this. Yi Jioge smiled and changed the topic. She took out the beauty pill from her Qianquan bag. You give gifts every time you come. You're too polite. Noble consort She knew that Yi Jioge didn't want to talk about the plaque anymore, so she glared at her. When noble consort She took the gift and handed it to Hong Xiu, she gave her a look. Hong Xiu took the gifts knowingly and left with all the palace maids. When Yi Jioge saw this scene, she knew that noble consort She had something to talk to her in private, so she also straightened her face. "Jioge, I heard that your grandfather sent a top expert to protect you. Is that true?" Noble consort She's tone was very serious. "It's true." Yi Jioge repeated the lie from before, then pretended to sigh in pity and said, "It's a pity that this expert's personality is too hard to figure out. He usually appears and disappears unpredictably. If he doesn't want to appear, I won't be able to find him." Yi Jioge's words were meant to stop those people from thinking of meeting Zishang. In any case, Zishang was a great expert, and he could not command him. If he wanted to see Zishang, he could go and find him himself. When noble consort She heard Yi Jioge's words, an expression of hesitation appeared on her face. Yi Jioge looked at her doubtfully. The expression on noble consort She's face changed again and again. Finally, she hardened her heart and said, "I've heard a rumor about Master Yun before, but I don't know if it's true or false. Whether it's true or false, please tell me directly." Yi Jioge sat up straight, showing that she took this matter very seriously. "You also know that I've been inquiring about Master Yun's whereabouts before. Later, I accidentally heard a news that Master Yun had been secretly killed because of a treasure map." After noble consort She finished speaking, she looked at Yi Jioge worriedly. Yi Jioge's face immediately turned pale. This expression was half real and half fake. She had suspected that the treasure map was related to her grandfather. Now, noble consort She's words were just to help her confirm it. But she didn't expect that her grandfather had been killed. Speaking of which, when she first returned from the 10,000 Zhang abyss, Yi Yuxuan's attitude was very strange, as if he had already determined that her grandfather was gone. Yi Jioge closed her eyes hard. When she opened them again, she had already calmed down. She asked noble consort She, "Where did you hear this rumor?" It's not convenient to say. The most important thing right now is to find out whether the identity of that great expert is true or false. Noble consort, she avoided Yi Jiuge's gaze. She couldn't tell Yi Jiuge that she had eavesdropped on this matter from Xianwu Emperor. Although she used to hate Xianwu Emperor, with the death of the Empress and Dongfang Ke moving into the East Palace, her hatred gradually faded. No matter what, her and Ke's future depended on this man. No matter how much she hated him, she couldn't deal with him. She only told this news to Yi Jiuge because of their past relationship. I understand. Thank you for telling me, Your Highness. Yi Jiuge nodded. She knew that she was in big trouble this time. Her grandfather's disappearance was related to the treasure map. Now that Zishang had appeared under his name, didn't it mean that Zishang knew the whereabouts of the treasure map? Those who wanted the treasure map would probably swarm over. However, this was also an opportunity. Those who knew that her grandfather was related to the treasure map would definitely know the truth of her grandfather's disappearance. Or rather, the truth of her grandfather's death. Thinking of this, Yi Jiuge's heart was in a mess. He didn't want to stay any longer and got up to leave. Noble consort, she didn't try to keep him. She only said, "Be careful in the future. Your Highness, Jiuge will remember your good intentions." Yi Jiuge felt that it was the right decision to spend so much effort to save Noble consort Shi. Noble consort, she smiled and said meaningfully, "You should thank her instead of me. He's always been thinking about you." The reason she was willing to tell this secret was related to Dongfang Ke's tacit consent. "Don't worry, Your Highness. I've always remembered His Highness Prince Dongling's matter. I've already found a way to cure him of the remaining poison," Yi Jiuge promised solemnly. Although the poisonous earth dragon goo had cured most of the poison in Dongfang Ke's body, the most important part hadn't been completely cured. When Junichen returned, he could use his natal goo to cure Dongfang Ke completely. Noble consort, she didn't expect Yi Jiuge to be so straightforward and not understand the meaning behind her words. She smiled helplessly, but in her heart, she understood that Ke and Yi Jiuge probably weren't fated to be together. Noble consort, she summoned Aunt Hongxiu and had her send Yi Jiuge out of the palace. When he passed by the imperial garden, he saw Dongfang Ke standing under a red flower tree in the distance. He wore a golden crown with 7 pearls on his head and a deep purple robe embroidered with a 5-clawed golden dragon. His handsome face was still gloomy, but when he saw Yi Jiuge walk over, his eyes couldn't help but light up. "Your Highness, why are you here?" Yi Jiuge asked in surprise. "I've been waiting for you here." Dongfang Ke looked at Yi Jiuge with an especially gentle gaze. Yi Jiuge didn't notice and asked straightforwardly, "What instructions does Your Highness have?" Chapter 218. Did Her Highness tell you about the treasure map and your grandfather? Dongfang Ke's gaze was somewhat disappointed, but he pretended to be nonchalant. "She did," Yi Jiuge nodded. "You have to be careful, there are many people who want the treasure map. Don't easily trust anyone, especially those experts." Dongfang Ke's words were just short of saying that Zishang's identity was fake. "I know, thank you for your concern, Your Highness." Yi Jiuge didn't explain any further. She knew Zishang's origins better than anyone. He definitely wasn't a swindler. At this moment, Zishang suddenly said unhappily, "Is this brat looking to die?" Although he was already in human form, it wasn't appropriate for him to follow Yi Jiuge to the harem, so he hid in the imprint. He hadn't expected to be caught red-handed. "Don't do anything rash," Yi Jiuge hurriedly said. Actually, she could somewhat sense Dongfang Ke's intentions, but she didn't take it to heart. Putting aside the fact that Zishang was a domineering obstacle, even without him, it was impossible for her and Dongfang Ke to be together. Because Dongfang Ke wasn't her cup of tea. Dongfang Ke didn't know that Yi Jiuge was talking to Zishang in private. He even said sincerely to Yi Jiuge, "No matter what happens, come find me if you need anything. I will always stand behind you." This was already equivalent to a confession. "Thank you, I will find Your Highness if I need anything. It's getting late, farewell." Yi Jiuge clearly didn't take Dongfang K's words to heart. Since it was impossible, he shouldn't give Dongfang K any hope. Thus, Yi Jiuge straightforwardly left. Dongfang K looked at Yi Jiuge's departing figure for a long time before sighing softly. Although he had already guessed that Yi Jiuge had no interest in him, he was still a bit disappointed that Yi Jiuge had left so decisively. Your Highness. Aunt Hong Xiu's face was full of worry. Dongfang K quickly composed himself and instructed Hong Xiu, pass down the order to ensure Yi Jiuge's safety. Although Yi Jiuge had rejected him, he still didn't want to see anything happen to her. Yi Jiuge returned to the residence and summoned Zishang. Come out and help me. Zishang quickly appeared from the mark and landed in front of Yi Jiuge. He asked with a grin, say it? Even if I have to climb a mountain of swords or go through a sea of flames, I won't hesitate. He was very satisfied with Yi Jiuge's attitude when she rejected him. I'm going to look for Yi Yuxuan tonight. Yi Jiuge's face sank. Although she had long guessed that her grandfather's disappearance was related to Yi Yuxuan, no matter how much of a scumbag Yi Yuxuan was, he was still her biological father. She didn't want to take things too far until the very end. But now that it was related to his grandfather's safety, he had no choice but to go. However, if he wanted to get information from Yi Yuxuan, he would need Zishang's help. No problem. Zishang nodded without hesitation. The night sky hung high, the stars were lonely, and the moon was as cool as water. Yi Yuxuan was currently in his room drowning his sorrows in alcohol. His usually elegant figure seemed to be in dire straits. He didn't know what he had done wrong to end up like this. He had thought that breaking off the father-daughter relationship with Yi Jiuge would be a quick move, and he would be able to get rid of this annoying evil girl. However, no one expected Yi Jiuge to turn the tables in the face of adversity and become the hero against the evil cultivators. Meanwhile, he had become a joke. Even Emperor Xianwu was making matters worse by giving Yi Jiuge a new plaque. This was clearly encouraging her to go against him. The more Yi Yuxuan thought about it, the more annoyed he became. He couldn't help but drink another mouthful of alcohol. At this time, Songbai quietly walked in and carefully reported, Master, Madam said that she's not feeling well and wants to invite you over to take a look. If you're not feeling well, go find a doctor. Don't bother me with everything. Yi Yuxuan was already a bit drunk and roared with a red face. The doctor said that Madam is depressed and needs to relax. Songbai said with a bitter face. Ever since second young miss was sent away by Master, Madam had been crying all day. However, Master seemed to hate her to the extreme and hadn't even come to see her for a long time. They, the servants, were stuck in the middle and were bullied on both sides. Tell her that if anything happens to the child in her stomach, she won't be able to live. Yi Yuxuan said fiercely. If it wasn't for the unborn child, he would have written a divorce letter and told Su Yufeng to scram a long time ago. Songbai didn't expect Master to be so heartless towards Madam. His heart pounded and he didn't dare to say anything else. He hurriedly left. Yi Yuxuan still hadn't vented his anger. He picked up his wine cup and smashed it against the wall. He angrily shouted, Slut, stupid woman. Back then, he thought Su Yufeng was a smart person. He didn't expect her to be even more stupid than a pig. If she's a stupid woman, then aren't you even more stupid? A cold voice rang out. Who is it? Yi Yuxuan fiercely looked around and saw a slim figure wearing a sky-blue dress standing by the mahogany window. Her black hair was simply tied into a snake bun with only a pearl hairpin. A few strands of hair fell to the side of her fair cheeks. Her eyebrows were black and her eyes were like peach blossoms. Her facial features were exquisite and overflowing with spiritual energy. She was like a fairy that had fallen to the mortal world. Jiao Jiao! The drunk Yi Yuxuan cried out. You don't have the right to call me that. Yi Jiuge coldly replied. Ever since she found her mother's life-saving pill in the secret compartment of the study, she knew that this scumbag of a father's love for her mother was fake. It's you. Yi Yuxuan's muddled mind finally woke up. The girl in front of him wasn't his first wife, Yun Jiao Jiao. She was clearly the evil girl, Yi Jiuge. What are you doing here? Yi Yuxuan shouted fiercely. He already knew that Yi Jiuge wouldn't come back. The current situation clearly showed that she didn't come with good intentions. Let me ask you, does grandfather's disappearance have anything to do with you? Yi Jiuge didn't bother being polite with his scumbag father and directly asked. What nonsense are you talking about? What does your grandfather's disappearance have to do with me? Yi Yuxuan raised his voice and glared fiercely at Yi Jiuge like an enraged bull. However, Yi Jiuge could see the weakness in his heart and coldly stared back at him. Cold sweat gradually appeared on Yi Yuxuan's forehead. That face that resembled Yun Jiao gave him incomparably great pressure. His throat moved, and he couldn't help but guiltily look away. Suddenly, he noticed that there were 3 shadows on the dimly lit ground. The extra shadow was standing beside Yi Jiuge. Yi Yuxuan abruptly looked up, but there was nothing beside Yi Jiuge. No, there must be something fishy going on. An extremely beautiful face flashed through Yi Yuxuan's mind, and his heart immediately trembled. It must be that expert called Yi Zi beside Yi Jiuge. Yi Yuxuan was just about to question Yi Jiuge when he realized in horror that the shadow suddenly pounced towards him. The next moment, he froze on the spot, unable to move. Chapter 219. A pair of cold purple vertical pupils appeared in front of Yi Yuxuan. Like a bottomless well, they surged and flowed in a strange and extraordinary manner. Then, the purple vertical pupils split into 4 and kept spinning like a dazzling kaleidoscope. Yi Yuxuan's eyes also spun like mosquito coils, his expression becoming more and more lifeless. All right. Zi Shang retreated to Yi Jiuge's side, indicating that she could ask questions. Did you cause the Yunwei Sea? Yi Jiuge stared at Yi Yuxuan's eyes and asked. No, I was just instructed by someone back then. Yi Yuxuan honestly explained everything with a wooden face. Back then, as a son-in-law, he was looked down upon everywhere and had always been resentful. Later, a masked man came and gave him a poison pill, asking him to find a chance to give it to the Yunwei Sea. At first, he was very hesitant and afraid, but as his ambition grew, his desire to take over the Yun family became more and more insane. In the end, he used Yun Jiao to poison the Yunwei Sea. After being poisoned, the Yunwei Sea disappeared and was never heard from again. After the weak Yun Jiao fell ill, he quietly changed the dynasty of the Yun family to the Yi family. Later, Yun Jiao seemed to have discovered something and raised doubts, even wanting to take back the Yun family's things. Seeing this, Yi Yuxuan immediately panicked. He didn't dare to harm Yun Jiao, so he only secretly replaced the supreme-grade pills she took with substandard ones. Just like that, he watched his wife die of illness. Because of these shameful things, he disliked Yi Jiuge, who carried the Yun family's blood. It was as if Yi Jiuge's death could cover up his ugly crimes. After Yi Yuxuan finished explaining, he continued to stand where he was, stupefied. The room was as quiet as a grave. Kill him? Zi Shang asked Yi Jiuge. For a moment, Yi Jiuge really wanted to kill Yi Yuxuan, this heartless scumbag of a father. But suddenly, Yi Rui's petite figure appeared in his mind. Yi Yuxuan was also Yi Rui's father. Although he was scumbag to the 5th aunt, he was still good to his talented daughter. Yi Rui was still young. Having a pill Dao master as a father would be more helpful to her future. Just give him the spirit-dispersing pill, Yi Jiuge said coldly. To a spiritualist, the gradual disappearance of one's cultivation base was the most painful. By the time Yi Yuxuan became trash, Yi Rui would have grown up. Let this scum of a father live in pain forever. That was the ending he deserved. It's nothing. Zi Shang took out a bottle of spirit-dispersing pills, wrapped them with his demonic energy, and buried them in several major acupoints on Yi Yuxuan's body. In this way, Yi Yuxuan's early cultivation wouldn't change much, but when he discovered it, it would be too late. Let's go. Yi Jiuge no longer looked at his father and left with Zi Shang. The journey back was a little dull. Yi Jiuge's heart was heavy. He didn't want to say anything. At this moment, Zi Shang suddenly said, "Your grandfather might not be dead. You don't have to comfort me." Yi Jiuge stared straight ahead without turning his head. According to Yi Yuxuan, the poison pill's effects were fierce, and the poisonous gas was overbearing. Grandfather was probably dead. I'm not comforting you. If your grandfather is really dead, his corpse should have appeared, not gone missing. Maybe he's still looking for a way to cure the poison and waiting for you to find him, Zishang said seriously. You're right. Grandfather must be waiting for me. Yi Jioga's fighting spirit was instantly ignited. Not only did she want to save her grandfather, but she also wanted to find the black-clothed man who plotted against her grandfather. Yi Jioga thought about it, and the only clue she had was the treasure map. She returned to the mansion and immediately took out the treasure map. Currently, she only had 1.5. She got one from the crown prince. Yi Yu gave her half, and Yi Yunji still had the other half. Yi Jioga had a feeling that she might be able to find some clues about her grandfather's disappearance from the bloodthirsty ancestor. After all, the bloodthirsty sect was very good at poison pills. After Yi Jioga decided to go to the Blood Cloud Peak to deal with the bloodthirsty ancestor, she sent an invitation to Bai Songling and Wan Ziang, inviting them over for a chat. The two had long wanted to meet Yi Jioga and immediately rushed over after receiving the message. Yi Jioga received them in the hall. The three of them greeted each other and exchanged some pleasantries. Yi Jioga then pretended to be chatting and asked Bai Songling, Brother Bai, I heard that Jun Yichen has already refined the tracking goo. Did you guys find Su Junqing? While Yi Jioga was in seclusion, Jun Yichen, Luo Tian, and Yi Yu had been helping Bai Songling and Wan Ziang to search for Su Junqing, and the tracking goo was successfully refined. No, Jun Yichen said that Su Junqing has escaped to the Blood Cloud Peak. Bai Songling said gloomily. They had set up many traps, but Su Junqing still escaped. It was really depressing. What did the Spiritualist Alliance say? Did they let the bloodthirsty sect's evil cultivators be arrogant? Yi Jioga asked. This was what she was most concerned about. Otherwise, she, Yi Yu, and the others did not have the confidence to go to the Blood Cloud Peak to save Yi Yunji. The Spiritualist Alliance is still discussing, but Master Dongfang personally went to the Spiritualist Alliance to offer a reward. He said that if anyone can find the Blood Lotus and kill the bloodthirsty ancestor, he is willing to exchange a master-building pill. Bai Songling revealed a big piece of news. Master Dongfang actually has a master-building pill? Yi Jioga was shocked. The master-building pill could increase the chances of becoming a spirit master. Because the spiritual energy was getting sparser and the age of the spiritual herbs was getting lower, it was hard to refine the master-building pill, which made it harder to become a spirit master. There were less than 10 spirit masters in the whole Thunder Country, and countless people were stuck at the advanced spirit master level. Although Yi Jioga's cultivation was still a distance away from that of a spirit master, it would not be wrong to get it. Thinking of this, she was a little tempted. Yes, many spirit masters are fighting to sign up, and there are many core disciples of famous righteous sections. It is said that hundreds of people have signed up. The alliance is a little worried, not knowing who to send to lead the team. After all, the bloodthirsty ancestor is not easy to deal with. Bai Songling said emotionally. This master-building pill was Master Dongfang's trump card. If he was not in a hurry to use the Blood Lotus to recover his cultivation, he would not have taken it out. I hope the Alliance can send more experts. That will be more beneficial to us. Although Yi Jioga was tempted by the master-building pill, she still remembered that her most important mission was to rescue Yi Yunji and find clues about her grandfather's disappearance. First Miss is also going to the Blood Cloud Peak to kill the bloodthirsty sect? Bai Songling asked in surprise. The Blood Cloud Peak was thousands of miles away from Thunder Country. The journey there would definitely be dangerous. After all, the bloodthirsty ancestor would not be unprepared. Chapter 220. Yes, Yi Yu is going to the bloodthirsty sect to save his sister. Luo Tian and Jun Yichen are going to avenge their clansmen. As their friend, I have to help them. Yi Jioga didn't mention the treasure map. Even though she was friends with Bai Songling and Wan Ziang, she didn't forget that they were from the imperial court. After all, Emperor Xianwu was also very ambitious about the treasure map. With Senior Yi Zi here, First Miss will definitely be able to kill the bloodthirsty sect ancestor and get the blood lotus, Bai Songling said and looked at the handsome man standing behind Yi Jioge. This great expert called Yi Zi had become a famous person in Shangjing recently. Countless people wanted to get to know him and ask about Master Yun's whereabouts. Unfortunately, this great expert came and went like a ghost. He had a strange personality and didn't care about people. Even people who were close to Yi Jioge didn't have a chance to talk to him. Zi Shang, who was standing behind Yi Jioge, didn't hear Bai Songling. His lazy look made it seem like he hadn't woken up yet. Big brother Bai, you flatter me. Yi Jioge smiled and changed the topic. Big brother Bai and Big brother Wan, do you want to come with us? We want to go too, but we don't have the time. Bai Songling had a regretful expression. Now that Dongfang Ke had just become the crown prince, there were many things he needed their help with. They couldn't go even if they wanted to. Since you two are in Shangjing, I will need you two to take care of my Yi mansion. Yi Jioge smiled. If it wasn't for Bai Songling and Wan Ziang, Elder Huo wouldn't have accepted the imperial plaque so easily. Don't be so polite with me. Bai Songling pretended to be unhappy. Ever since they returned to Shangjing, he realized that Yi Jioge's relationship with them had become distant. Although it was because they were serving different masters, it still made him feel bad. If he could, he wanted to follow Yi Jioge like Yi Yu and Luo Tian. Unfortunately, the Bai family had done him a great favor. His life belonged to the Bai family and Dongfang Quebec Wan Zhang was the same. Back then, when the Wan clan was wronged and their entire clan was killed, it was all thanks to the Bai clan that they were able to clear their name. They had to repay this debt of gratitude. Yi Jioge also knew that it was impossible for them to go, so he said, I have another matter that I would like to ask for your help with. Just tell us what you need. As long as we can do it, we will definitely help, Bai Songling said without hesitation. The two of you also know that the bloodthirsty sect is not easy to deal with, so please help me find out more about the Spiritualist Alliance. Yi Jioge didn't stand on ceremony with them. They had some connections in the Spiritualist Alliance. Don't worry, we will inform you as soon as we have news. Bai Songling and Wan Ziang talked with Yi Jioge for a while. Seeing that it was getting late, they got up at the same time and said, we still have work to do. Goodbye. Both of them were now promoted. Bai Songling was transferred to the Imperial Army as a commander, and Wan Ziang was promoted to the Minister of Justice. The two of them were extremely busy every day. Today, they finally managed to squeeze out some time to see Yi Jioge, so they had to leave after discussing some matters. I'll send you off. Yi Jioge stood up. It's just a few steps. There's no need to send me off. If you continue to be so polite, I won't come again, Bai Songling said jokingly. All right, let Elder Huo send you off. As an advanced spiritualist, Elder Huo could completely represent Yi Jioge. This way, please. Elder Huo came forward in time and personally sent the two of them off. The hall was empty in the blink of an eye. Yi Jioge returned to his seat and picked up a teacup to moisten his throat. Just as he was about to speak to Zi Shang, he suddenly raised his hand and flicked a black-purple spirit light toward the roof. Who's there? Yi Jioge immediately looked up. He saw Yi Yu, Luo Tian, and Jun Yichen fall from the roof beam like dumplings. What the hell are you doing? Yi Jioge put down his teacup and looked at Jun Yichen with a puzzled expression. I don't want to run into that chatterbox Bai Songling, so I wanted to hide on the roof. Jun Yichen looked at Zi Shang with some fear. Ever since he absorbed the drop of blood essence from the bloodthirsty patriarch, his cultivation had greatly improved. He thought he could give Yi Jioge a scare, but he didn't expect to be knocked down as soon as he touched the roof. This devilishly handsome man was indeed an expert. His accurate judgment was too terrifying. No wonder he could kill Xiong Yunhu, who was on a rampage. Boring, childish. Yi Jioge instantly understood Jun Yichen's intention to show off. Tiske, a little brat is a little brat. He used to pretend to be arrogant and cold, but now he finally showed his true colors. Luo Tian had always been indulgent toward Jun Yichen, so accompanying him was understandable. But Yi Yu wasn't a child anymore. How could he be as mischievous as Jun Yichen? Yi Jioge thought about this and asked Yi Yu, Jun Yichen and Brother Bai are at odds, so it's normal that they don't want to see each other. Why don't you want to see them? It's not that I don't want to see them, but I don't want them to know about the treasure map. Yi was also very direct. He and Yi Jioga had the same idea. The treasure map had to be hidden from them. They know you have the treasure map? Yi Jioga was a little surprised, but he understood after thinking about it. When Su Junqing and the Crown Prince worked together to destroy the Yi family, it only took a little speculation to understand what had happened. Yes, a lot of people have been asking about the treasure map recently. Miss, you must be careful. Yi was very worried. The treasure map was originally an extremely secretive matter, but now that it was exposed after the Crown Prince fell, the situation in Shangjing was very chaotic. It's useless to be careful. At this time, we have to take the initiative and try to collect the treasure map as soon as possible. This time, the Spiritualist Alliance is going to deal with the bloodthirsty ancestor. We have to take this opportunity to save your sister. Yi Jioga said decisively. Okay. Yi Yu's spirit was lifted, and he nodded hard. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. At this time, Jun Yichen, who had been quietly listening on the side, suddenly asked Yi Jioga, if there was a treasure map in front of you, how much would you pay to buy it? From what you said, do you have a treasure map? Yi Jioga raised his eyebrows. The Blood Cloak tribe had always been low-key, and they didn't seem like people who would participate in this kind of thing. Yes, our tribe has a treasure map that has been passed down for generations. If you are willing to teach me beast language, I will give it to you. Jun Yichen really wanted to learn beast language from Yi Jioga. I can't teach you beast language. This is a bloodline ability passed down to me by my grandfather's ancestors. Yi Jioga and Zi Shang had already rehearsed the lines, so he just needed to push it to his grandfather. Jun Yichen frowned. If it was a bloodline ability, then there was nothing he could do. Thus, he simply changed his condition. Chapter 221. Then give me 100 bottles of spirit beast pills to exchange. Jun Yichen waved his hand domineeringly. He was calculating in his heart. The blood-clothed Miao tribe only had him and Luo Tian left. Luo Tian had already sold himself to Yi Jioga. The treasure map was useless to him, he might as well give it to Yi Jioga. When she went treasure hunting, he and Luo Tian would go and help her. They could exchange the treasures for spirit beast pills. In short, the spirit beast pill was the greatest benefit. This is too troublesome. How about I give you the spirit beast pill recipe? You can refine as many as you want. Yi Jioga was chased by Jun Yichen for spirit beast pills every day. He was so annoyed that he wanted to give the recipe away to save trouble. I am not interested in refining pills. Jun Yichen shook his head. He was sure of Yi Jioga. All right, 100 bottles it is, but I don't have time to refine now. I will give you 10 bottles first. I will give you the rest 15 days later. Yi Jioga said helplessly. Also, don't forget the debt from buying the goo worms. Jun Yichen added seriously. Even if I want to forget, I need a chance. Yi Jioga was very unhappy. Cough, cough. At this time, Luo Tian suddenly covered his mouth and coughed a few times, then pretended to say casually, if it is convenient, how about giving me this month's spirit beast pills? A monthly allowance of 1 bottle, such a good benefit, he could not lose it. Then can my monthly allowance be changed to spirit beast pills? Or can I buy a bottle from you? Yu asked carefully. Recently, Black Overlord had been complaining to him every day, saying that Xiao Hong could eat spirit beast pills with its master, but it had to eat poison with its master every day. It even had the thought of going on strike. All right, I will give it all. Yi Jioga felt that he really owed them. Thank you, Mississippi. Luo Tian smiled reservedly. Don't thank me too early. Yi Jioga glared at Luo Tian, then said to Jun Yichen, if you want to get spirit beast pills, you have to do something for me. What is it? Jun Yichen looked at Yi Jioga vigilantly. Don't mention it if it's too difficult. It's not difficult. It's just that the newly appointed crown prince, Dongfang Ke, still has remnants of the frost spider's king poison in his body. I would like to ask you to help him resolve it. Yi Jiuge felt that his request was not too excessive. If it weren't for her help, Zhu Nichen wouldn't have been able to obtain Ancestor Bloodthirsty's blood essence. Now that he was asked for a small favor, he probably wouldn't refuse. It's a piece of cake. I'll just make a trip there myself tonight. Zhu Nichen patted his chest in satisfaction. Yi Jiuge was stunned. He felt that there was something wrong with Zhu Nichen today. In the past, Zhu Nichen rarely had any expressions. Today, however, his expression was so rich that it was scary. It was as if all his emotions were displayed on his face. You've also noticed that young master is different. Zhu Nichen actually smiled at Yi Jiuge. Those little white teeth were really frightening. Are you possessed by something evil? Yi Jiuge asked suspiciously. Tui, you're the one who's possessed by something evil. Zhu Nichen glared at Yi Jiuge in dissatisfaction. Then, he said proudly, after I refined the bloodthirsty old man's blood essence, my cultivation rose greatly. My soul became one. This is my true appearance. His appearance was really unlikable. Yi Jiuge couldn't help but look at Luo Tian. She had a feeling that Zhu Nichen's behavior wasn't that simple. Luo Tian avoided Yi Jiuge's gaze and didn't say anything. Although he had already sold himself to Yi Jiuge, this was related to his young master's secret. He decided to remain silent. Seeing that, Yi Jiuge didn't ask any further. Instead, he mentioned another matter. Since we've already decided to go to Blood Cloud Peak to deal with Ancestor Bloodthirsty, then we have to start preparing everything. I'll be in charge of the elixirs. You guys are in charge of gathering information about Blood Cloud Peak and paying attention to the Spiritualist Alliance's movements. After Yi Jiuge finished speaking, he asked Luo Tian, you guys should be very familiar with Blood Cloud Peak. Is there anything that we need to pay attention to? We've already left Blood Cloud Peak for 3 years. These few years, Ancestor Bloodthirsty hasn't stopped exaggerating. As for the specific changes, we need to investigate further. Luo Tian said cautiously. Then we'll investigate while preparing. Yi Jiuge wasn't worried about this. After fighting with Lu Yunfei and the other evil cultivators, they more or less had some confidence. Currently, goo worms were the biggest weapon against bloodthirsty sect. Thinking of this, Yi Jiuge turned to Zhu Nichen and said, you should cultivate more goo worms during this period of time, in case of emergencies. Do you think goo worms are cabbages that you can cultivate whenever you want? You need to have the capital first. Zhu Nichen rolled his eyes. He wanted to ask for spirit beast pills, but was stopped by Yi Jiuge. It's fine if you don't want to cultivate them. Then you can go take revenge yourself. Zhu Nichen's words were immediately stifled. He glared at Yi Jiuge hatefully. Luo Tian quickly smoothed things over. Eldest miss, don't worry. Young master knows what he's doing. He has been cultivating goo worms during this period of time. He's already harvested a batch. That's good. Yi Jiuge was still very confident in Luo Tian. Seeing that it was getting late, she stood up and said, if there's nothing else, let's disperse. Then I'll leave first. Yi Yu was in a hurry to gather information about the Spiritualist Alliance. Luo Tian and Zhu Nichen also left. Their tasks were more important. Cultivating goo worms wasn't that easy. After Yi Jiuge sent them off, she went to the alchemy room to prepare to refine pills. She had just taken out the herbs to refine spirit beast pills when she suddenly heard Zishang say, there's something wrong with that kid, Zhu Nichen. What's wrong? Yi Jiuge stopped what she was doing and looked up at Zishang. Zhu Nichen's cultivation of the human goo art is very dangerous. First, he places a part of his soul on the natal goo. During the process of the natal goo cultivating into a human form, the two will constantly be in contact. Although his cultivation increased after absorbing the bloodthirsty ancestor's blood essence, there's a problem with the compatibility. Don't you think he's too lively? Zishang asked. Now that you mention it, it's a little true. Yi Jiuge originally thought that Zhu Nichen had an outburst of a child's nature. She didn't expect that it was actually qi deviation. She immediately asked anxiously, then what should we do now? Zhu Nichen was their secret weapon against the bloodthirsty ancestor. If anything went wrong, it would be troublesome. This is his cultivation. He can only endure it by himself, Zishang said indifferently. He had already done his best to remind Junichen. As for helping, he wasn't that kind. He's still so young. How can he endure it? Yi Jiuge frowned worriedly. No matter how Jun Yichen pretended to be mature, he was still just an 11-year-old child. Yi Jiuge didn't think that he could endure it. Don't make dirty jokes. Zishang's face was stern. Damn you. What kind of situation is this? You're still making such boring jokes. Dirty jokes? She was even talking dirty jokes. Chapter 222. Zishang saw that Yi Jiuge was about to turn hostile, so he cleverly changed the topic. If you really want to help him, why don't you try using the white bone flame to refine spirit beast pills? Are you kidding me? The white bone flame is ghost fire and can only be used to refine yin pills. I don't want those goo insects to become ghost insects. Yi Jiuge felt that Zishang was clearly causing trouble. These goo insects aren't spirit beasts. Maybe it's better to eat yin pills. Also, your bronze cauldron is different from other cauldrons. It can refine all kinds of heaven and earth elemental energy. Maybe it can refine some special pills. Why don't you give it a try? Zishang didn't look like he was joking. Yi Jiuge pondered for a moment and felt that Zishang's words made sense. Refining goo insects was originally a sinister technique. Maybe yin pills were more suitable. Let's try refining a few first. As a pill refiner, Yi Jiuge didn't lack the fearless spirit to try. Other than the white bone flame, she also wanted to improve the spirit beast pill formula. Although the previous spirit beast pill contained a good amount of spiritual energy, it was very bitter and was comparable to poison. Yi Jiuge had eaten one before and the nauseating feeling greatly reduced the absorption effect. She had always wanted to improve this point and did a lot of research. She already had a plan in mind and could test it today. Yi Jiuge wanted to add vermilion fruit and nepenthes to the original spirit beast pill formula. The vermilion fruit tasted very sweet after refining and was a child's favorite. When she refined the Peiyuan pill for Yi Rui, she specially spared some. It tasted very good and Yi Rui ate it happily. Later, she accidentally discovered that if a certain proportion of nepenthes was added to the vermilion fruit, the taste would become even more delicious and sweet. Yi Jiuge took out the small bronze cauldron. Ever since the fat black rat fell asleep, the small bronze cauldron had changed a lot. After injecting spiritual energy, it was half the height of a person. Not only could it contain more herbs, but the refining speed was also faster and the success rate was much higher. In the past, one furnace could only produce 20 spirit beast pills, but now it could produce 200. It was because of this magical tool that she dared to agree to Jun Yichen's request. Otherwise, just refining spirit beast pills would exhaust her to death. Yi Jiuge put the ingredients into the small bronze cauldron and summoned the white bone flame to start refining. Although the soybean-sized white bone flame looked very small under the huge bronze cauldron, the power it could unleash was very strong. The herbs in the bronze cauldron quickly melted and turned into a black liquid. Seeing that it was about time, Yi Jiuge threw the vermilion fruit and nepenthes grass into the small bronze cauldron according to the ratio of 1:5. The vermilion fruit and forget worries grass turned into a dark red liquid, perfectly fusing with the solution of the spirit beast pill, finally turning into red bean-sized pills. Yi Jiuge made a hand seal to open the cauldron, and a refreshing fragrance assailed his nostrils. The green cauldron was filled with pills, and the color was as alluring as cherries. Why does this pill look like a candy? Zishang raised his eyebrows. This is exactly what I want. Yi Jiuge said as he took out a pill and threw it into his mouth. He discovered that the spirit energy contained in this batch of spirit beast pills was even purer than before, without a trace of ghost chi or yin energy. What's going on? Yi Jiuge was shocked. Could it be that this small bronze cauldron was so magical that it could even turn ghost chi into spirit energy? All things return to one. Ghost chi is also a type of heaven-earth yuan chi. If you use the white bone flame to refine pills, It will actually stimulate the pure spirit energy contained in the herbs. Xianxia's head rested on top of Yijioga's head as he looked at the cauldron of spirit beast pills. For some reason, he felt that he was starting to salivate. That makes sense. Yijioga thoughtfully nodded her head. She picked up a spirit beast pill and was about to carefully feel it, but Xianxia snatched it away and threw it into his mouth. If you want to eat, can't you take it yourself? Yijioga harshly condemned Xianxia's action of snatching food. It's more delicious to snatch it. Do you want a bite? Xianxia held a spirit beast pill in his mouth and moved closer to Yijioga's mouth. Disgusting. Yijioga pushed Xianxia's head away. She did not want to eat this evildoer's saliva. Xianxia pressed the back of Yijioga's head and forcefully invaded. He tyrannically pushed the pill into Yijioga's mouth and tangled with her. This was a very, very sweet kiss. Especially after the spirit beast pill melted, it gathered into a dense spiritual energy that flowed down Yijioga's throat and into her stomach. It was warm and comfortable. Her entire body relaxed, her mood was calm, and satisfied. She was even somewhat reluctant to end this kiss. In the end, Xianxia took the initiative to stop. He did not tease Yijioga like he usually did. Instead, he turned around and announced to the small bronze cauldron in a domineering manner. This cauldron of pills belongs to this sovereign. With that said, his sleeves grabbed towards the large bronze cauldron. A cauldron of 200 spirit beast pills flew into his sleeves in a line and disappeared. You took it away just because you said so. Did you even ask for my opinion? Yijioga was unconvinced. She would not admit that she was venting her anger on Xianxia, this guy who ran away after kissing her. Do you need this sovereign to emphasize again who you belong to? Xianxia blinked his peach blossom eyes, as if saying, if you don't understand, this sovereign is more than happy to prove it to you. No need. Yijioga glared at Xianxia. She was very clear about the fact that she had long sold herself to Xianxia. This pill is not bad, it's just that the name is too unpleasant. Xianxia threw a pill into his mouth and said unhappily, calling it spirit beast pill is too insulting to this sovereign's demonic character. At the very least, it should be changed to something like limitless pill, overlord pill, or something like that. Forget it, I'm still counting on this pill to earn money. How would Yijioga dare to come up with such an annoying name? Most importantly, heavenly spirit pill, overlord pill, and whatnot did not match the characteristics of this pill. Then let's call it heavenly dragon pill. Xianxia decided. Heavenly dragon, your sister. Yijioga rolled her eyes at Xianxia. After thinking for a moment, she said, then let's call it cherry pill. These pills looked like small cherries, and were worthy of the name cherry pill. Furthermore, she had eaten one just now, and realized that it had the same effect of replenishing spiritual energy for humans, so there was no need to stick to the name spirit beast pill. Alright. Xianxia reluctantly agreed, and then threw another pill into his mouth, and ate it with relish. Yijioga could not help but raise her eyebrows. She did not expect that Xianxia was such a demonic person who loved to eat candy. Perhaps in the future, she could use this point to make an issue out of it, such as threats and temptations. Yijioga thought about all sorts of things in her heart, but her hands did not stop moving. Very quickly, she refined a new batch of spirit beast pills. This time, she did not wait for Xianxia to snatch them, and quickly kept the spirit beast pills. Then, she began to carefully study the characteristics of this new pill. When she ate the first pill, she only felt that it was filled with spiritual energy. When she ate the second pill, she was disturbed by Xianxia, and that feeling of ecstasy was too subjective. When she ate the third pill, Yijioga finally realized that the characteristics of this new pill was actually to calm the mind. Chapter 223. Yijioga looked at the cherry pill in disbelief. She ate 3 more in a row to confirm that the pill really had the effect of calming the nerves and gathering qi. Calming the nerves and gathering qi sounded simple, but it was a requirement that many spiritualists could not achieve. When a spiritualist advanced, they would either advance or fall back. The process was very dangerous, and very few could maintain a calm mind. Spiritualists who could afford it would buy some calming pills when they advanced. However, better calming pills required a lot of high-rank spirit herbs, and the refining process was very difficult, causing the price to be very high. There were very few spiritualists who could afford it. However, this cherry pill actually had the effect of calming the nerves and gathering qi. It was a little weak, but there was a lot of it. The materials to refine this batch of cherry pill were much cheaper than a calming pill. Refine it well, and you'll have a bright future. Xianxia had to admit that Yi Jiuge was very talented in alchemy. The cherry pill had spiritual power and could calm the nerves. It was good for him, let alone ordinary people and spirit beasts. Of course, the delicacy was also an indispensable factor. Do you think this cherry pill's effect of calming the nerves and gathering qi can help Zhu Nichen get through the break-in period? Yi Jiuge was still worried about Zhu Nichen. Yes. Xianxia nodded. Then let's go find him. Yi Jiuge made a prompt decision, took the pills and left. Xianxia naturally followed her. Zhu Nichen was still living in the place where he was originally arranged to raise the poisonous earth dragon Gu. Luo Tian also stayed with him. The sun was high up in the sky, and the blazing sunlight shone on the ground. The courtyard was quiet, and only the sound of the poisonous dragons gnawing on their food could be heard. The spacious courtyard was filled with dustpans, which were filled with poisonous earth dragons that had advanced for the second time. The poisonous earth dragon, which used to be white and chubby, was now a bit more intelligent, and it ate the black fly grass ferociously. Yi Jiuge and Xianxia walked into the courtyard and were about to call someone. Suddenly, they heard a child's sharp laughter from inside the house. It was obviously Zhu Nichen's voice. What's going on? Yi Jiuge was shocked and walked into the house. Deep inside the dilapidated house, it was gloomy and dark. With his back facing the door, Zhu Nichen squatted on the ground and kept drawing circles. From time to time, he would let out a strange and shrill laugh. The whole scene was indescribably strange. Luo Tian was lying in the doorway with a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. His chest was not moving at all, as if he was already dead. Luo Tian. Yi Jiuge's eyes narrowed. Just as he was about to rush in to check on Luo Tian, he was stopped by Xianxia. Something's not right. Xianxia frowned and a solemn expression appeared on his handsome face. Isn't that obvious? Yi Jiuge was anxious. How was this not right? This was simply eerie and terrifying. Xianxia ignored Yi Jiuge and flicked his finger at Zhu Nichen. Before the black spirit force could even touch Zhu Nichen, it was repelled by an invisible force. Then, Zhu Nichen's figure suddenly disappeared. In the next moment he actually pounced towards Yi Jiuge like a ghost. Yi Jiuge reacted very quickly, and a purple spirit light barrier appeared around him. Boom! The spiritual light barrier shattered into countless rays of light. Sharp nails appeared on Zhu Nichen's small hands. After breaking the spiritual light barrier, he directly stabbed towards Yi Jiuge's chest. Yi Jiuge's breath stagnated. She never thought that Zhu Nichen would kill her, but it was a bit too late to make a move now. Fortunately, Xianxia was by her side to protect her. His well-defined palm pushed outwards, and the black and purple spirit force turned into a shield that blocked Zhu Nichen's attack. After Zhu Nichen failed, he immediately retreated and wanted to escape. Xianxia lightly clenched his fist, and the black and purple shield suddenly exploded, turning into a giant net that enveloped Zhu Nichen. Zhu Nichen let out a beast-like howl and kept struggling in the giant net. Yi Jiuge calmed down and looked carefully. Only then did he realize that Zhu Nichen's eyes were blood red, and his small face was very frightening. The strangest thing was that between his eyebrows, there was actually a blood pouch the size of a thumb that looked like a heart. He's being controlled by the bloodthirsty ancestor. Xianxia immediately understood when he saw Zhu Nichen's eyebrows. The bloodthirsty ancestor was indeed shrewd and ruthless. He actually hid a move in that drop of blood essence. Zhu Nichen seemed to have successfully refined the bloodthirsty ancestor's blood essence, but in his weakened state, he was fiercely attacked by the bloodthirsty ancestor, which was why he suddenly lost his mind and attacked Yi Jiuge. Yi Jioge opened his spiritual eye and looked carefully at the blood pouch. He realized that it extended out many thin bloodlines that enveloped Jun Yichen's head, and the only weak point was at the Dasui acupuncture point. Yi Jioge decisively took out the lightning fire needle, and after injecting spiritual energy, he pierced it towards Jun Yichen's Dasui acupuncture point. The blood pouch was blocked, and the blood in Jun Yichen's eyes faded, and his body immediately went limp. Yi Jioge did not go up to look at him, but hurriedly went to check on Luo Tian. Luckily, Luo Tian was only seriously injured and unconscious, and his life was not in danger. Otherwise, if Jun Yichen woke up and realized that he had killed Luo Tian, he would probably immediately collapse. Gee! An even weaker sound came from Luo Tian's neck. Yi Jioge took a look and saw that half of Xiao Hong's body was broken, and it was on the verge of death, but it was still continuously shouting, "Save my master. Your master is fine, and you will be fine too." As Yi Jioge said that, he crushed a cherry and sprinkled it on Xiao Hong's broken body. Goo worms did not need to be consumed orally, and it had the same effect when used externally. Xiao Hong, who was about to lose consciousness from the pain, smelled a sweet smell, and it quickly fell into a blissful sleep. Yi Jioge also stuffed a few cultivation recovery pills into Luo Tian's mouth, and then went to check on Jun Yichen. Jun Yichen's body was curled up on the ground, and there was a blood-red bulge on his forehead, as if he had grown a horn. The veins at the corner of his eyes were exposed, and his entire face was extremely terrifying. Even the lightning fire needle that was pierced into his Dasui acupuncture point seemed to be unable to suppress it anymore. In this situation, the only way was to extract the drop of blood essence that belonged to the bloodthirsty ancestor. However, this drop of blood essence was extremely cunning, and it would probably escape once it was extracted. "Can you seal the drop of blood essence from the bloodthirsty ancestor?" Yi Jioge asked Zishang. "No, I can only destroy it." Zishang shook his head. He was only good at destruction, not sealing. Destroying it would be a pity. Yi Jioge was a little hesitant, and decided to wake Jun Yichen up first. The lightning fire needle controlled the situation at the Dasui acupuncture point, and Yi Jioge took out another 49 golden needles and inserted them into Jun Yichen's body, completely suppressing the drop of blood essence from the bloodthirsty ancestor. The blood bump on Jun Yichen's forehead slowly softened, as if it had disappeared. Then he slowly opened his eyes, and looked at Yi Jioge and Zishang blankly at first. Then he seemed to react, and quickly turned to look at the place where Luo Tian had fallen. "He's fine, but you almost lost your life." Yi Jioge's tone was a little unfriendly. If this little guy had asked her for help earlier, he would not have fallen into such a dangerous situation today. Chapter 224. I didn't think the bloodthirsty ancestor would have such a trick up his sleeve. Jun Yichen returned to his expressionless face. "Then what do you plan to do? It's dangerous to keep this drop of blood. You might die." Yi Jioge felt that if he didn't exaggerate the truth, this brat wouldn't know how to write the word fear. Refine it. Jun Yichen was resolute without hesitation. He shouldered the blood feud of his clansmen. He had to become stronger at all costs. Even if it was a narrow escape, he had to charge forward. Yi Jioge saw him like this and couldn't say anything else to persuade him. She looked at Zishang for help and asked, "Is there any way to help him? This is a battle between him and the bloodthirsty ancestor." Zishang's expression was indifferent. If he couldn't even refine this drop of blood, how could he talk about revenge? "That's right. This is my hurdle. I can overcome it myself." Jun Yichen stood up and pulled the thunderfire needle from behind his neck. The other golden needles fell to the ground. Yi Jioge made a hand seal and took back the thunderfire needles and golden needles. Then he took out the cherry pill that he had just refined and said to Jun Yichen, "This is my new spirit beast pill. I hope it can help you." "Why is it red?" Jun Yichen opened the bottle and looked at Yi Jioge in confusion. "This is a modified formula. I guarantee you'll be satisfied." Yi Jioge didn't explain. Only those who had tasted it would know. Jun Yichen ate one doubtfully. Then, his eyes widened in disbelief. See? It calms the nerves and gathers qi. Yi Jiuge was slightly proud. It seemed that Zhu Nichen knew his stuff. Zhu Nichen didn't hear what Yi Jiuge said. He poured a bottle into his mouth and swallowed it without chewing. The drop of blood also felt something was wrong. It split into two and turned into two blood-red tentacles that emerged from Zhu Nichen's forehead. Zhu Nichen sat down cross-legged. His abdomen began to bulge. A golden-red light shot out from his abdomen and headed straight for the two blood-red tentacles. The two blood-red antennae shrank back and split into two as they began to flee in different directions. The golden-red light chased after the one on the left and swallowed it in no time. The blood-red tentacle on the right suddenly burst forth, breaking through the skin on Zhu Nichen's neck and flying out. Zhu Nichen calmly opened his mouth, and the golden natal goo flew out aggressively. It opened its mouth wide and swallowed the escaping blood essence in one gulp. Zhu Nichen's vital goo had already undergone a huge transformation. His head had completely evolved into a human head, and his face, which resembled Zhu Nichen's, was filled with a triumphant expression. Apart from its head, it had even evolved to have two thin arms, and below that was its insect body. It flew back to Zhu Nichen's head and laid there, shouting, "Do you have any more of those cherry pills?" "Give me another stack." Zhu Nichen silently raised his hand and poured two cherry pills into his mouth. The natal goo screeched and turned into a beam of golden light, entering Zhu Nichen's mouth. "Did you succeed?" Yi Jiuge asked. Zhu Nichen nodded silently, then took out a red cloth bag from his bosom and threw it towards Yi Jiuge. He was actually extremely grateful for Yi Jiuge's help, but his awkward personality prevented him from saying any words of thanks, so he could only express it with his actions. Xianxia grabbed the cloth bag and opened it. It turned out to be half a treasure map. "Brat, at least you know what's good for you." Yi Jiuge unceremoniously put away the treasure map. "I still need to consolidate my cultivation. I'll leave Luo Tian to you." Zhu Nichen was even more impolite than Yi Jiuge. After throwing Luo Tian to Yi Jiuge, he prepared to return to his room to continue cultivating. "Wait, have you finished helping me with Dongfang K's matter?" Yi Jiuge called out to him. "Dongfang K's poison has been completely removed," Zhu Nichen said without turning his head, then entered the room and closed the door. Yi Jiuge couldn't just leave him like that, so he could only helplessly stand guard at the door. "Sit here." Xianxia waved his hand, and two chairs appeared in front of them. Yi Jiuge and Xianxia sat side by side, then asked, "What do you think Bloodthirsty Ancestor will do after he receives the news that we're going to attack Blood Cloud Peak with great fanfare?" Xianxia pondered for a moment, then said, "He'll probably think about how to use this opportunity to eat more people. He's treating us like vegetables." Yi Jiuge didn't believe that Bloodthirsty Ancestor was that strong. If he was really that strong, he would have ascended to the heavens long ago. Why would he stay in Blood Cloud Peak? "If it's me, that's what I'll do," Xianxia said matter-of-factly. "I'm not asking you, I'm asking Bloodthirsty Ancestor." Yi Jiuge was speechless. "I'm not Bloodthirsty Ancestor. If you want to know, go ask him yourself." Xianxia refused to answer Yi Jiuge's stupid question. Blood Cloud Peak Blood Pool. Bloodthirsty Ancestor was currently cultivating in the large blood pool in the center. Lu Yunfei and Old Man Su's bodies were soaking in two small blood pools beside him. At this time, more than half of their bodies had dissolved, leaving only two heads floating above the blood pool. The scene was extremely terrifying. Soon, the two heads dissolved as well, turning into two extremely thick bloody lights that gathered at the center of Bloodthirsty Ancestor's body. These two bloody lights were the most critical moment of his cultivation method. Bloodthirsty Ancestor calmed his mind and prepared to fuse with them. However, at this moment, his heart suddenly shrank, and the meridians in his body froze. As soon as the two bloody lights entered, the rest immediately disappeared. Damn it. Bloodthirsty Ancestor's cultivation failed, so he went crazy with anger. The blood pool bubbled like boiling water. He had never thought that at the critical moment of his cultivation, that drop of lifeblood essence would be completely absorbed by someone else. Even the contingency he had left behind was eliminated. Skinny Monkey was guarding outside. Hearing the ancestor's rage inside, he was shocked. He had been guarding bloodthirsty ancestor for so many years, but he had never seen the old man make a mistake during his cultivation. Ancestor, what's wrong? Skinny Monkey didn't dare to rush in, so he could only shout anxiously from outside. I'm fine. Bloodthirsty ancestor's chest throbbed violently, but he quickly suppressed this emotion. Bloodthirsty sect wasn't a solid piece of iron. His disciples were all jackals and wolves. He couldn't afford to make any mistakes. He couldn't let them know that he had made a mistake during his cultivation. Bloodthirsty ancestor couldn't help but think of the plan he had been planning for a long time. He thought that if he sent Lu Yunfei and Xiong Yunhu out, he would definitely be able to get Dongfang Yao back for him to use as a blood guide. He didn't think that his plan would fail miserably and cause him to lose a lifeblood essence. Although Su Junqing had brought Lu Yunfei and his grandfathers, it couldn't make up for his loss. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.